Chapter 10-15. Mom. I don't feel good, Song Yisha pouted and began to complain. What's wrong? Who messed with my baby girl? Lady Song only had one daughter, so she loved her dearly. Mayor Song also treated her like the apple of his eye and was always proud of her. Mom, let me ask you, if I want to be with Chin Chu, will you support me? In front of her mother, Song Yisha publicly expressed her feelings for Chin Chu for the first time. She didn't seem to want to wait any longer. I knew you were still thinking about Chin Chu, but he's already married. Lady Song also thought that Chin Chu was a good match for her daughter, but the bad thing was that he was already married to his first wife. Mom, what era are we in now? Why would they get divorced after marriage? It's not like they're going to be married forever. Song Yisha retorted. But my baby girl is going to marry a divorced man. Why do I feel like you're being wronged? In Lady Song's eyes, no woman in the world was as good as her daughter. She even labeled Chin Chu as a divorced man. Mom. I wouldn't mind even if Chin Chu marries a third or fourth time, let alone a second time. Seriously, if you really liked Chin Chu, why didn't you do it earlier? They're both studying in the West. You should have told me earlier. Why did you let an outsider come between you? I'm so worried for you. Lady Song didn't understand. What had her daughter been doing all these years? Now that Chin Chu was married, she suddenly remembered that she liked him. Song Yisha sighed slightly and then slowly said, Mom, actually. I went to look for him back then, but I didn't dare to see him. You don't know how cold and scary he was. My friends in the States all said that Chin Chu was a cold-blooded monster. He didn't talk to any of his classmates in the States and was always alone. What about now? It's fine now. Mrs. Song asked in confusion. Yes, I thought I didn't care anymore, but now that I see him being so gentle to Huamin, I feel very uncomfortable. I know I'm still not reconciled. I was too confident in the past. I thought I was the only one who was worthy of Chin Chu, so I ignored the absurd fact that he actually fell in love with another girl in high school. Mom, I regret it now. I want to get him back. Song Yisha walked over and leaned on Lady Song's shoulder like a spoiled child. You child. Your father is the mayor. If you do anything, it will cause bad public opinion. Lady Song had her reservations. Don't worry, I won't do it in public. I'll secretly take Huamin away. As long as Huamin is gone, Chin Chu will be mine. I'm confident that he still has feelings for me. After all, we lived together for more than a year when we were kids. Song Yisha still thought that she was infallible. She always thought that when they were 8 years old, they were childhood sweethearts. The truth was, Chin Chu didn't even remember what Song Yisha was like back then. He had completely forgotten everything that happened before he was 8. What he really cared about were the 3 years in high school. Those 3 years were filled with sadness and joy, tears and laughter. Do you have to be like this? Sure, with your qualities, we can find anyone you want. Lady Song tried her best to persuade her. No, I want Chin Chu. I must make this wish come true. Song Yisha was determined. The truth was, what she felt for Chin Chu was no longer love. It was a kind of arrogant jealousy. Before, she didn't think that Chin Chu was important. When she was in the States, she didn't even dare to get close to Chin Chu when he was so cold. Now that she saw the best person by Huamin's side, Chin Chu, she wanted to steal him away. It was like when you were a piece of flawed jade. Although I was tempted, I didn't want you. Now that you've been polished into a top-notch piece of jade, I want you. At the end of the day, she wanted to steal the happiness that belonged to Huamin. She didn't love Chin Chu deeply. On the top floor of Seductive Fox, GK Film and Television's progress slowed down because of Chin Chu's injury. On top of that, Ni Yang was recuperating, and Mo Shui was out filming. Therefore, they were overshadowed by Imperial Star. Recently, Imperial Star had been shining brightly. Suyu had spent 300 million yuan and signed 8 more artists. They were in the limelight and held a celebration party for the company's executives at a nightclub. Everyone was having a great time. Suyu, on the other hand, was very calm. No one could tell if he was happy or angry the entire night. No one dared to get close to him. Only his good friend, Tang Chuan, dared to sit next to him and tease him. Ahem. Lord Su, why aren't you playing? Are you not in the mood? Tang Chuan asked. Suyu held onto his wine glass. No one knew what he was thinking, but he didn't say anything. News came from South Side. Chin Chu woke up. Did you hear about that? Tang Chuan asked. Chapter 10:16. Isn't that a good thing? Suyu wasn't surprised, and his tone was indifferent. It's not a good thing for you, right? As long as it's a good thing for Huamin, Suyu replied calmly. Lord Su, be honest, this time, did you ever think that Chin Chu would never wake up? Tang Chuan was actually very curious about Suyu's current state of mind. After this experience, Suyu seemed to have matured. His temper was becoming more and more restrained, and his fiery temper was almost gone. This was magical, and it was all thanks to Huamin. Her appearance completely changed Suyu. Are you going to be honest? Suyu licked his lips and asked. Of course, we've been buddies for so many years. Just tell me the truth today, and I won't tell anyone anyway. Tang Chuan patted his chest and promised. Then, he looked at Suyu with a gossipy expression, waiting for his answer. Suyu sighed softly, and then slowly placed the red wine glass on the black coffee table in front of him. Never. I even hope that Chin Chu would wake up, because if he doesn't, Huamin won't wake up either. This was what Suyu cared about the most. Tang Chuan wasn't present at the incident at the hospital that day, so he didn't know the details. If he knew, he wouldn't have asked Suyu this question. Because if something happened to Chin Chu, Huamin would be done for, so, how could Suyu hope that Chin Chu wouldn't wake up for the rest of his life? He even tried his best to contact the military doctors. He looked for hospitals, specialists, and everything else. After being busy for many days, he finally succeeded. Chin Chu woke up, and so did Huamin. However, he quietly left. He didn't go to the hospital anymore. He didn't even know what identity he should use to go there. Plus, it was good enough to know that Huamin was fine. If he went there too often, he was afraid that rumors would start again. He didn't care, as there were so many rumors about him these past few years. However, he couldn't ignore Huamin. Her reputation at South Side and in society, he couldn't ignore it. He didn't want to hurt Huamin, he only wanted to see her smile, even if it wasn't for him. Fuck. You're so great. Young Master Su, please accept me kneel. Tang Chuan pretended to kneel. Suyu smiled. He knew that he wanted to be funny. Old Wei is so obsessed with the opposite sex. Dr. Jiang is too scary. We rarely hang out with him. Speaking of which, I'm looking forward to their wedding on New Year's Day. Oh right, you're the best man, right? You're the groomsman's tea. Tang Chuan continued to gossip. That's still a long way off, I haven't even thought about it. Suyu smiled. Just then, Jian Tong walked over, wearing a long black dress with a deep V and a white mink cloak. She looked elegant and graceful. President Su. Upon seeing this, Tang Chuan immediately left. Suyu nodded. Why aren't you drinking? Not in the mood. Jian Tong asked. No, I'm just a little sleepy. Do you want to come to my place tonight? Jian Tong asked. Suyu was silent, thinking about how to answer. Jian Tong continued, my place is newly renovated. One of the rooms is decorated in the style of your old mansion. If you don't want to go back to the old mansion, you can come to my place. You can sleep upstairs, and I'll sleep downstairs. Or, if you're afraid of being photographed by the media, you can sleep in that room, and I'll go to my other apartment. Jian Tong was smart, she didn't make it too obvious, it was just a subtle invitation to Suyu. Suyu glanced at her and replied nonchalantly, it's okay, I've been enjoying going back to the old mansion, I'm used to it. Oh. Jian Tong looked slightly disappointed. Suyu had been abstinent for a long time, and he didn't touch any women. This made Imperial Star want to be with him. Jian Tong was so outstanding, but Suyu never touched her. Everyone began to suspect President Su's sexual orientation. Suyu didn't care about the rumors. After leaving Seductive Fox at 2 in the morning, he sped all the way home. He wanted to go home, but somehow, he ended up at South Side. He raised his head and looked at the VIP room on the top floor. He suddenly wanted to go up and see her. Young Master Su, you're here to see Dr. Hua again. Huamin's assistant already knew that Suyu and Huamin were friends, so he didn't think much of it and greeted him with a smile. Is she asleep? Suyu asked softly. Chapter 10:17. No, Dr. Hua is in her husband's room, the nurse replied with a smile. Okay, I got it. Suyu nodded and didn't say anything else. Huamin cut the freshly washed fruit into small, delicate pieces and placed them on a fruit platter with toothpicks. Then, she carefully brought the platter to Qin Chu. She used a toothpick to pick up a piece of honeydew melon and brought it to his mouth. Qin Chu cooperatively opened his mouth and took a small bite. Honey, does it taste good? Huamin asked with a smile. Don't you already know if your husband tastes good or not? Qin Chu chuckled. Can't we just have a nice conversation? Huamin was speechless. Her husband was the best of the best, how could he think so dirty when eating fruit? After a few bites, Qin Chu began to feel tired. Huamin put down his pillow and helped him lie down. Just then, a nurse came in with an 4 drip. Dr. Hua, Mr. Qin needs to change his dressing. Director Su said that he needs to get an anti-inflammatory shot in a few days. Okay, leave it to me. The nurse nodded, put down the 4 drip, and walked out. Huamin picked up the medicine on the tray and looked at it. After making sure that there were no problems, she quickly attached the 4 drip to the hook on the tray. Then, she pulled Qin Chu's hand over. It's going to hurt a little, bear with it. Then, Huamin lowered her head and inserted the 4 drip into Qin Chu's body. She was very careful and succeeded on the first try. She used very little force. Qin Chu felt as if he had been bitten by a mosquito. Then, everything was done. Okay, it's done. Huamin took a deep breath. Thank you, honey. Qin Chu smiled gently. Then you should sleep for a while. I'll discuss your treatment plan with Director Su, and see how long it will take for you to be discharged. Okay, come back soon. Qin Chu reluctantly watched Huamin leave the ward. Huamin then walked out of the ward. She did not notice a familiar figure standing in the corner of the corridor. Suyu looked at her from afar. He didn't even have the time to talk to her, or perhaps he didn't want to disturb her. After taking a quick glance at her, Suyu felt much better. Then, he turned around and left South Side, driving home. By the time Huamin returned from his discussion with Director Su, it was already more than an hour later. When the assistant nurse saw Huamin, she smiled and greeted him. Dr. Hua, has young Master Su left? Suyu was here. Huamin was slightly startled. You didn't know? The assistant nurse was also surprised. When did he come? Huamin asked. About an hour ago. Young Master Su paced back and forth in front of your ward. I thought he went to look for you. I even told him that you were in your wife's ward. Didn't he go? Oh. I see. Huamin fell silent after speaking. More than an hour ago, she was feeding Qin Chu fruit in the ward. She didn't even notice if there was anyone at the door. Maybe Suyut saw her but didn't say anything to her. Speaking of which, Suyu was a lot more introverted now. He was different from his previous flamboyant personality. If it was before, he would definitely have swaggered in, regardless of what you were doing. Suyut did go to the door of the ward, but he didn't go in. He stood outside and looked in through the glass. Huamin leaned over the bed and fed Qin Chu. Their eyes were filled with love. He felt sad watching them, so in the end, he didn't go in. When he turned around to leave, Suyu walked to the corner of the corridor. He stared greedily at Huamin for a long time until her figure disappeared at the end of the corridor. When he returned to the Su family, his mother was still awake. Lady Su was watching a midnight show. When she saw her son, she immediately walked up and took his jacket. You're home so late. I thought you were sleeping in the condo. Because Suyu's private mansion hadn't been renovated yet, he spent most of his time at the Su family's house and occasionally at the condo. The condo was right next to Imperial Star, so it was very convenient for him to work. No, Suyu said, a little lonely. I heard from your grandpa that you agreed to go on a blind date. Lady Su looked at her son and asked gently. Chapter 10:18. Yeah. Suyu nodded, looking a little tired. Don't you hate blind dates the most? Why did you? Lady Su looked at her son with heartache. She was anxious before and wanted her son to get married soon, so she often looked for socialites for her son. But later, she realized that he didn't like any of them and wasn't interested in anything. Lady Su once thought that her son had a sexual orientation problem and worried for a long time. Later, she found out that her son had a girl he liked, but that girl had someone she liked. In the process of getting to know Huamin, Lady Su realized that Huamin was indeed a very good girl. She liked her too, but Huamin's heart wasn't with Suyu at all. There was a saying that you could never wake up a person who was pretending to be asleep, and you could never beat a person who didn't love you. Lady Su felt bad for her son and wanted him to forget. She didn't want to see him in pain, but she found that he fell deeper and deeper. Last time, his old comrade brought his granddaughter over. She thought that there was a chance and said that he knew, but after a few days, Suyu chased her away. He was so impatient that he couldn't even be bothered to send her to the airport. He arranged for Imperial Star's PR department to pick her up. So, he suddenly agreed to go on a blind date with his grandfather. Did her son think it through? Or, I promised Grandpa, so I'll do it, Suyu said listlessly. Then, without waiting for Lady Su to ask more, he turned around and went upstairs. Under what circumstances did he agree to go on a blind date with his grandfather? Was it under the circumstances that his grandfather agreed to get him a military doctor? In the end, it was all for Huamin. He didn't think that there would be a day when he would sacrifice himself for others. When Huamin returned to the ward, Qin Chu was still awake. Seeing that the 4 was finished, Huamin gently asked him to remove the needle. Then, he pressed his finger on the needle hole to prevent bleeding. Honey, yes. Don't be so silly in the future. Qin Chu looked at her with heartache. You mean? Huamin didn't know what he was referring to. Operate on me, and live and die with me. Although I don't want to leave you, when it's time to leave, I still hope that you can live well and not do anything stupid. During the day, after listening to Gao Rant's story, Chin-chu's heart was heavy. However, he never had the chance to tell Hua-min. Now that there were only the two of them, Chin-chu felt sad, but he still said it out loud. Fine, if you marry me, you won't care about me anymore. Do you want to leave me alone? Hua-min pretended to be even angrier. No, I just think that you have a lot of unfinished business. You still have Jixin to take care of, you still have your mother to repay, and you still have your biological parents to find. Anyways, you still have so many unfulfilled wishes in this world. How can I bear to let you leave with me? Chin-chu was a man of few words, he rarely spoke in long paragraphs to you. Therefore, when Hua-min heard this, he was deeply moved. Don't even think about leaving me. If you're not here, how can I care about so many things? I don't think they'll blame me. Honey, do you know what's the scariest thing in the world? What is it? Chin-chu didn't know the answer in Hua-min's heart, so he didn't want to try to figure it out. The scariest thing isn't not being able to have it. It's losing it after having it. If we didn't reunite after 7 years, you would have lived your life in the States, and I would have lived an ordinary life in Sea City. It would have been fine if we never crossed paths again. But since God gave us a chance to reunite, I plan to be with you for the rest of my life. If I lose you after having you, I won't be able to live on, and I won't have the courage to face the life after losing you. So, this isn't a sacrifice. I think, being with you, whether it's heaven or hell, is a form of release for me. It's also a form of rebirth. After Hua-min said this, Chin-chu was deeply shaken. He didn't know how intelligent Hua-min was, but he was more than touched that she could come up with such a conclusion. He was more than happy to hear that. He was comforted that Chin-chu didn't fall in love with the wrong person. Honey, come here. Chin-chu reached out his hand and looked at Hua-min with an extremely gentle gaze. Chapter 10:19. Hua-min didn't say anything as she quietly walked towards Chin-chu. He reached out his hand and tightly held onto her small white hand. Then, he gave her the warmest hug. Feeling Chin-chu's warm body, Hua-min felt a sense of security. She finally felt that she was truly by Chin-chu's side. I've made you worry for the past few days. From now on, I'll take care of myself and protect myself. I won't let you take any more risks. Chin-chu was a cold and aloof Prince Charming, but this was the first time he had said something so warm. Hua-min started crying as she listened. Tears began to fall uncontrollably. Why are you crying again? Honey. I've only been asleep for a few days and you've already become a crybaby. Chin-chu laughed as he reached out his hand and gently wiped away her tears. All my strength is for others to see. As soon as I wake up, I don't have to pretend to be strong anymore. I can cry, I can laugh, I can do anything I want. You're my biggest support. Okay, we're husband and wife. Let's not talk about strangers. Even if I want to confess, today isn't the day. I want to confess to you properly at your wedding. Wedding? Hua-min wiped away her tears and looked at Chin-chu in surprise. Are you dumb? We haven't even had a wedding yet. Chin-chu laughed. But aren't we already married? It's the same whether we have a wedding or not. How is it the same? Every woman has to have a grand wedding in her life. On that day, she'll be the most beautiful woman in the world and the star of the show. As for me, I'm going to give you a grand wedding and let the world know that I, Chin-chu, have married the person I love the most. Hua-min's cheeks turned slightly red as she looked at Chin-chu lovingly. From the very beginning, they had no choice but to hide their marriage. She didn't even think about whether or not they would have a wedding in the future. Because Hua-min felt that as long as two people loved each other and lived happily together, why should they care about the formalities? But he didn't expect that Chin-chu had been planning this all along. He didn't want her to suffer at all. After I'm discharged, we'll go home and discuss the date and details with my parents. The two of them feel guilty, so they want to apologize to you solemnly. Huamin shook his head. Although they were wrong, since they are my elders, I won't hold it against them. Why should I ask them to apologize to me? Wouldn't that be killing me? I've always felt that when it's possible to make mistakes, one should spare them. Don't make things difficult for others, and don't make things difficult for yourself. Just do as you wish. Huamin's temperament had always been so indifferent. He always exuded a mature and steady aura that did not match his age. Therefore, she could take care of many important matters and shoulder many burdens by herself. You're too calm, so sometimes people can't help but bully you. Qin Chu reached out and touched her face. With Mr. Qin around, who dares to bully me? Huamin smiled mischievously. Qin Chu couldn't help but lean over, hold her face, and kiss her again. He couldn't get enough of Huamin even if he loved her 1,000 times. He already had the most precious thing in the world, so even if he really couldn't pass this time, he could die without regrets. While taking care of Qin Chu, Huamin also recovered a lot of energy. Occasionally, he would talk to his mother and Jixin, but they were still in the dark. In the blink of an eye, Qin Chu and Huamin had been living at South Side for almost half a month. Jiang Xiaowei came every day. During the day, she would come to take a look and then leave. Zhu Lingling came every 2 days. Because she still had work to do, Hua Xiqian also came occasionally. Only Su Yu came. After Qin Chu woke up, Huamin never saw him again. She lived and ate with Qin Chu at South Side. Everyone at South Side knew that Dr. Hua cared a lot about her lover. The young nurses often teased her, asking Dr. Hua, "When are you going to have a baby? It would be so beautiful." Every time that happened, Huamin would smile slightly and not say anything. But then, she would go to a place where no one was around and secretly hurt herself. Why couldn't she get pregnant? She stroked her flat stomach. She had slept with Qin Chu many times before. Sometimes, when Mr. Qin was in high spirits, they would do it several times a night. Recently, he was injured and didn't have the chance. But he had recovered well these past few days. Was she going to fuck him? Huamin thought about it and felt her cheeks burn. Chapter 10:20. Huamin had already changed into her white coat. She would occasionally make house calls since she lived at South Side. "Dr. Hua, the hospital director is looking for you." "Okay." Huamin turned around and went to the hospital director's office after hearing her assistant's words. "Come in." When Huamin entered the office, not only was President Wu there, but also Deputy Director Qin, who had just arrived, as well as many experienced professors and department directors. "Is this a meeting, Director?" Huamin was a little nervous because she didn't bring any notes. She didn't prepare anything. "It's not a meeting. Sit down first." Huamin listened to President Wu anxiously and slowly sat down. Then, everyone suddenly burst into thunderous applause. Huamin was dumbfounded. "Director, is something good happening?" Huamin was scared. Was he going to send her off? After all, she hadn't worked for almost 20 days. She had been delayed for so many days. "Dr. Hua, through our selection, we unanimously recommend you to be the chief physician of the Department of Neurology." "What?" Huamin couldn't stay calm anymore. It wasn't easy to be a chief physician. Most people either had high academic qualifications and medical skills, or had many years of clinical experience. They were all very old. Currently, in the entire province, there wasn't a single chief physician younger than 40 years old. However, Huamin was only 24 years old, and she looked very young. "Dr. Hua, congratulations on becoming a chief physician." Director Lee looked at her with a smile. Director Lee, what about you? Huamin knew that it was impossible for a department to have two chief physicians. Director Jiang of the Department of Neurology at the first hospital just retired. I'm going there. You'll continue to stay at South Side. But... President Wu, I can't do it. I'm too young. I can't take on this responsibility. Huamin was really panicking. Why did she feel that she wasn't qualified enough? Director Wu looked at her and said slowly, Huamian, don't be afraid. We've been observing you for a long time. You're calm and steady, and you've managed the neurology department well. When Director Lee wasn't around, you were able to deal with all kinds of problems. Most importantly, we've done one-on-one interviews with the patients you've treated. Out of the 50, 48 of them had nothing but praises for you. The remaining 2 aren't disapproving of you, but they're still recovering, so they haven't made any comments yet. As the youngest doctor in the neurology department, not only are your treatment plans brilliant, but you're also able to perform the most difficult surgery for your loved one. Even though the success rate was less than 30%, you still grit your teeth and persevered. You're very capable, and the hospital doesn't give people chances for no reason. You deserve our recognition. After that, everyone applauded again. The clapping made Huamian feel touched, which she hadn't felt in a long time. Every step of her hard work had been observed by the hospital. She started off as an intern nurse, then became a regular nurse, and then became a head nurse. Later, the hospital made an exception and recommended her to take the doctor's license exam, so she became a doctor in the Department of Neurology. Now, she was even going to be a chief physician. Huamin felt that she was really lucky. Not everyone's hard work could be recognized. Dr. Hua, you're really great. Yeah, Dr. Hua, you can do it. Do your best. A few experienced doctors praised and cheered for her. Huamin, why aren't you thanking the director? Director Lee reminded her with a smile. Only then did Huamian realize what was going on and quickly bowed to him. Thank you, Director. Thank you, Director Lee. Thank you to all the seniors who recommended me. I will definitely work harder in the future and strive to be as outstanding as all of you. When Huamin walked out, she was still excited. Being promoted to chief physician as an exception was the dream of many people. Many of her classmates in medical school were still intern nurses, and some of them couldn't take it anymore and changed careers. She was the only one who still persisted in her childhood dream, so stubbornly. All the corridors and wards at South Side heard the announcement. Important announcement, effective today, Dr. Huamin, a doctor in this area, has been promoted to chief physician of the Department of Neurology due to her outstanding performance. All the doctors and nurses said, "Congratulations, congratulations," when they saw Huamin. When Huamin entered Qin Chu's ward, she couldn't suppress the excitement in her heart. "Honey, did you hear the announcement?" Huamin asked excitedly as she pointed at the small radio in the room. "What did I hear?" Qin Chu pretended to be sleepy and asked in a daze. Chapter 10:21. You really didn't hear anything? It was announced to the entire South Side. Huamin was a little disappointed. Qin Chu sat up in a daze and leaned against the pillow behind him. He rubbed his eyes and said, "What's up, honey?" "I just woke up." "Okay, you really slept at the right time." Huamian pouted and looked disappointed. How nice would it be if he was her husband? Would he be able to be excited with her? Seeing how cute Huamin was, Qin Chu couldn't help but laugh. "Did something good happen?" "No, go back to sleep, I'll go wash your clothes." Huamin turned around and picked up Qin Chu's pajamas. She was about to walk to the bathroom. Luckily, Qin Chu reacted quickly and grabbed Huamin's sleeve. "Honey, congratulations on becoming a chief physician, you're awesome." Huamin turned around abruptly. Okay, you lied to me. Then, she threw the dirty clothes at Qin Chu's face, smiled, and bit the back of his hand. She didn't use too much strength, it was as if she was seducing him. Honey, it's such a waste to bite there, can you bite somewhere else? Qin Chu couldn't help but tease her. Where else? Huamin looked up. Her innocent eyes made Qin Chu want to pounce on her and eat her up. You can help me take off my pants first, then we can talk about it. Huamin immediately understood. She immediately raised her fist and punched Qin Chu's shoulder. You're so impure. How can you say something so inappropriate? Oh my God. Mr. Qin has completely changed. I didn't change, I'm different from person to person. I'm my wife, of course I can eat her up however I want. Qin Chu hugged Huamin's shoulder and allowed her to pound him with a face full of happiness. Huamin leaned on his shoulder and gently lifted his shirt, looking at that hideous scar. Her heart ached. Professor Feng's suturing skills were superb. Although there were no scars, it would take 2 summers for the wound to fade. It still looked scary. Huamian lifted her finger and gently drew circles around the scar. Qin Chu's life was hanging by a thread because he was trying to save her. She would never be able to forget this incident. Perhaps one day, when he was 80 years old, he would be too old to remember anything. He would never forget this matter. Hubby, it's so good to have you. Her head was tightly pressed against his arm as she whispered in his embrace. Honey, he called out softly. Do you want it? Fuck off. Huamin felt like she couldn't have a pleasant conversation with Mr. Qin anymore. Every few sentences he said, he would start flirting with her and talk dirty. She didn't even know how to respond to him. Honey, what? Do it. Damn. Qin Chu, will you die if you stop flirting with me? Huamin blushed as she questioned him. If I don't eat you, I'll feel terrible, especially when I can't eat you even if I want to. Qin Chu looked wronged. You'll be discharged in a few days, can't you just bear with it? Huamin looked at him, amused. Bear with it for a few days. A few days is a long time to me. Ha, keep pretending. Huamin burst out laughing. She looked at Qin Chu's wronged face and felt like a little bitch. Qin Chu looked at Huamin from head to toe and finally fixed his gaze on the area below the neck and above the stomach. What are you looking at? Huamin covered her chest with her hand. Chapter 10:22. Honey. I remember buying you a couple of deep V-neck knitted sweaters, why don't you wear them? Qin Chu was speechless as he looked at her white lab coat and couldn't see anything. How dare you say that? How can I wear such a big neckline outside? Huamin glared at him. You don't have to wear it outside, just wear it for me to see. I don't care about anyone else, I'll gouge their eyes out if they see you, Qin Chu said with a smile as he put one arm around Huamin's head and leaned in. This time, he kissed her ear. His movements were very gentle, as if he was tickling her ear with a feather, making her heart itch. Honey. Huamin felt like her willpower was gradually collapsing. Suddenly, the door to the room was pushed open. Is it really okay for you two to do something so inappropriate in broad daylight? Gao Ran was jealous. Zhu Lingling was standing behind Gao Ran, covering her mouth as she laughed. Ahem. Huamin immediately stood up and fixed his collar. Qin Chu looked over and his face darkened. Why did these two bastards come in at this time? Hey, you two did it on purpose, right? Qin Chu thought that Gao Ran had to come at this time of all times. He was speechless. Why would we? We're not gods, how would we know that you two would be so wild? It's broad daylight, not only did you not block the curtains, but you also didn't lock the door. I'm blushing just looking at you. Don't pretend to be innocent, there's no such thing as blushing. Someone who was obsessed with AV since middle school would blush, are you kidding me? Qin Chu directly exposed Gao Ran. Zhu Lingling glanced at him with a funny look in her eyes. Min also laughed as she looked at Gao Ran, who was embarrassed by Qin Chu. Ahem, don't talk nonsense, Qin Chu. Let me tell you. I don't know any of those Japanese names, such as. I don't know any of them. Fuck, you're so much better than the ones I know, you little yellow man. Zhu Lingling angrily stepped on Gao Ran's foot. Her high heels pricked his foot. Oh my god, it hurts. We can't turn against each other just because of Qin Chu's words. We're on the same side, we have to work together to fight against the Qin Chu couple. Who's on the same side with you, little Gao? Zhu Lingling yelled. Min couldn't stop laughing, and she gave her husband a thumbs up. Mr. Qin, you're amazing, you managed to turn my Lingling against you with just one sentence. Qin Chu, you're so inhumane, it's immoral of you to betray your brother. Qin Chu put his hands behind his head and slowly replied, I'm not betraying you, I'm just reminding Zhu Lingling that you're very skilled, and that you've learned all kinds of martial arts since you were young. So, if she follows you, she'll be able to eat meat. Gao Ran, Zhu Lingling, Min laughed so hard that she almost wanted to prostrate herself at her husband's feet. The two of them were obviously caught in the act, but now, they were the ones in an awkward situation. Mr. Qin was really smart, he was able to turn the situation around with just one sentence. With such a powerful husband, why would she worry about being bullied by others? She was going to be tortured to death by her husband's scheming methods. Okay, I'm not going to talk nonsense with you guys. When will Qin Chu be discharged? Gao Ran looked at Min and asked. About 3 or 4 days. That's not bad, there's one more Christmas, and we're both on vacation. Do you guys have any plans? Why don't we all spend Christmas together? We can celebrate Qin Chu's recovery, Gao Ran asked with a smile. Chapter 1023. Zhu Lingling nodded. I told him that we're going to the hot springs in the southern snowy mountains to fish and play mahjong, but he said it was too boring. The roads in the southern snowy mountains are bumpy, and Qin Chu just had a major surgery, so it's not good for him to travel. Min nodded. Then let's have a barbecue party at home or something. Gao Ran suggested. What do you think, honey? Qin Chu looked at Min lovingly. Sure, I think we can have a Christmas party and do some cosplay. What do you think? Min suggested with a smile. Hey, that's great, I like it. I liked that look when I watched Angelina Jolie's Sleeping Spell. I want to cosplay that look, it's perfect. So, why don't you just say that you want to cosplay as Snow White's stepmother? Min immediately insulted her. Oh, so you're Snow White's stepmother. You don't have to cosplay, you'll just be yourself. Gao Ran continued to insult Zhu Lingling. She was so angry that she pinched him. Ouch, be gentle, are you trying to murder your husband? Go away, whose husband are you? Are you shameless? Zhu Lingling immediately retorted. Are you two flirting? It seems like you've been making fast progress lately. Min interrupted with a smile. Gao Ran immediately changed the subject. Then it's settled, right? We'll start on the 24th and do it from Christmas Eve until Christmas Day. What do you think? Sure, you guys can come to my house. South Hill Manor is perfect for parties, it's perfect. Min warmly invited them. Zhu Lingling clapped her hands excitedly and said, That's great, I want to take more pictures and show off on my WeChat moments. That's a good idea. I'll help you show off and fly with you. Gao Ran patted Zhu Lingling's head lovingly. The four of them laughed and continued to tease him. At noon, Min ordered exquisite takeout. The four of them ate and chatted in the ward. During this time, they talked about the mastermind of this incident. Gao Ran said that Zhou Guanghui and the remaining members of the gang had been executed. The scar-faced man had died in the gunfight. The only one who hadn't been caught was the mastermind behind this incident, which was Zhou Guanghui's godfather, Wang Kuan. Qin Chu's expression was calm. There's no need to look for him. Just close the case. Leave that person to me. Don't tell me you're going to. Gao Ran looked at him and hesitated. Qin Chu didn't say anything either. For some reason, he didn't say anything in front of Min and Zhu Lingling. After Zhu Lingling and Gao Ran left, Min was busy washing clothes for Qin Chu. Just as the sky turned dark, a special patient arrived in the ward. An orange Bugatti Veyron was parked at the entrance of South Side. Rick quietly went upstairs. Min was just about to go to the neurology department to get some documents when she bumped into Rick at the door. Rick was wearing a dark gray cashmere coat and black deerskin gloves. There was never a smile on his face. He had short brown hair and dark blue eyes. He never had bodyguards around him like other bosses. Rick was tall and mighty, and he always liked to be alone. Is Qin inside? Yes, Min replied. Rick nodded, knocked on the door, and walked in. Min felt like Qin Chu and Rick always had a lot of secrets between them. With her around, it was inconvenient for the two men to talk. So, she didn't go in. Instead, she went to the neurology department. Rick. Seeing Rick walk in, Qin Chu put down the book in his hand. How are you? He asked. I'm recovering very well. I didn't die from a disaster. I knew you'd be fine. Rick seemed to have a lot of confidence in Qin Chu. Then, he took out a few photos from the pocket of his coat and handed them to Qin Chu. The man in the photos died a horrible death. His head was covered in blood. Most people wouldn't be able to stand these photos because they were too gory. However, Qin Chu calmly flipped through the photos. His eyes were calm and unperturbed. Chapter 1024. My brother tracked his whereabouts in Australia and trapped him in a motel. He shot him in the head. Thank Lino for me. Qin Chu nodded. After confirming that the mastermind behind this incident, Wang Kuan, was dead, Qin Chu felt much better. At least he and Min didn't suffer for nothing. Now, they had their revenge. Gao Ran and the police couldn't easily cross borders to arrest people, so Qin Chu used other methods. His way of doing things was to return the favor tenfold if someone offended him, but I've already retracted my men from Dong Tao Town, as you said. Do you still want to investigate? Yes, but I'll put it aside for now. I'll investigate it myself once I've recovered. Qin Chu knew that Dong Tao Town was a complicated place. If he wanted to investigate Min's background, it wouldn't be enough to rely on his subordinates. They would be sending themselves to their deaths. He had to do it himself. Even though I didn't find much, there's something suspicious. The tracker I left in Dong Tao Town showed that the town's communication device has been in contact with foreign countries. I can't find the exact location, but the signal is definitely from overseas. So, you have to be careful. You know, once there's contact with foreign countries, things get complicated. Your enemy could be the mafia, the cult of the dead, or even terrorists. Basically, there are endless possibilities. If someone else had said this, Qin Chu would have thought that they were just trying to scare him. But if it was Rick who said it, it had a different meaning. Rick had been in charge of the family business since he was young, so he was very good at investigating information. If his equipment couldn't find anything, it could only mean that the other party was even better. Then, what kind of secret was hidden in a small town like Dong Tao Town? What kind of foreign power was it related to? Could it be Huamin's biological parents were overseas? Qin Chu went into deep thought again. Huamin went to the neurology department to take over some of the documents left behind by Director Li and prepare for her official return to work. When she returned to her post, she was the youngest chief physician in the entire province, or even the entire country. Her colleagues no longer addressed her as Dr. Hua. Instead, they addressed her as Department Director Hua. Although it sounded old, she enjoyed it very much. Being an outstanding doctor was her lifelong dream. After finishing his work, Huamin returned to the ward. He wanted to ask Qin Chu what he wanted to eat. Did he call from the hospital cafeteria, or did he order food? Song Yishe came at this time. Qin Yumin rarely came to GK because he was helping Qin Chu take over GK. Lady Qin would occasionally visit during the day, but because she was too embarrassed to face Huamin, she didn't visit as often. Song Yishe was quiet for 2 days. Huamin thought that she would not come again. Unexpectedly, not only did she come, but her mother also came. The mother and daughter brought an exquisite food box, which was filled with steaming hot food. Qin Chu, how's your recovery going? Lady Song asked with a smile. Thank you, Auntie Song. I'm fine now, I'll be discharged soon. That's good, that's good. Ever since your accident, Sure couldn't sleep at night. She always talks about you and cries whenever she talks about it. Look, her eyes are swollen. Lady Song dragged Song Yishe over. As expected, Song Yishe's eye bags were very obvious. She smiled at Qin Chu, embarrassed. Thank you for your concern. My husband will be discharged in 3 days. You don't have to come back and forth. It's quite troublesome, Huamin interrupted. Lady Song ignored Huamin and took over the food box. Sure said you like fish. This morning, we went to the market to buy some base. We steamed one and stewed the other. Which one suits you? Chapter 10:25. I don't like fish anymore, Qin Chu replied faintly. Song Yishe froze. But Mama Qin said you really like it. Maybe my mom misunderstood me. Thank you for your kindness, but my wife loves fish. She likes all kinds of seafood. Mian, thank Auntie Song. Huamin immediately understood what Qin Chu meant and smiled at Lady Song. Thank you, Auntie Song. If Qin Chu doesn't want to eat, then I'll eat. I won't let your efforts go to waste. Upon hearing Huamin's words, Lady Song and Song Yishe's expressions turned ugly. However, they were too embarrassed to say that they didn't want Huamin to eat, thus, they handed the food box over. Huamin opened it and sneered. The amount of rice and fish was clearly only enough for one person. It seemed like they didn't prepare a portion for her. Luckily, her husband was smart enough to ask her to get the fish. Qin Chu, you need to rest and get better soon, Song Yishe said gently as she looked at him. Thank you. Qin Chu looked down and didn't want to look at her face. Qin Chu, your Uncle Song said, on Christmas Eve, we'll treat you to dinner. You'll be discharged by then, so you should come with your parents. The 3 of you are perfect, I can prepare extra portions for the 3 of you. Lady Song's meaning was obvious. Only Qin Chu, Qin Yumin, and Lady Qin were allowed to go. She didn't want Huamin to go, obviously, she excluded Huamin. Huamin looked at her and found it funny. It seemed like this old lady was going to help her daughter steal Huamin away. Even the mayor's wife wouldn't be so arrogant if she dared to say something like that in front of him. It's okay, Auntie Song. My wife and I invited a lot of our friends to a party at home for Christmas. Party. That's good too. Young people all like this. Sure, why don't you come too? Lady Song acted according to the situation and glanced at her daughter. Song Yisher looked at Chin Chu innocently and asked, Chin Chu, can I go? Chin Chu was in a bit of a dilemma. He didn't understand. Why did she still take the initiative to come when he had already made things so clear? Therefore, he looked at Huamin beside him. Huamian smiled. Sure. But our theme for that day is to cosplay as a villain. If you come, remember to cosplay as a villain. Otherwise, you won't fit the theme and won't be able to have fun with everyone. Okay, thank you Huamin. Song Yisher smiled. As long as she could get involved, why would she care if the cosplay character was evil or not? Auntie Song, I'm a bit tired. I'm going to sleep first. My wife can take care of you. With that, Chin Chu lay down and turned his head away from them. It was obvious that he was asking them to leave. Huamin looked at Lady Song politely. Do you want to eat an apple? Sure, peel one for me right now. Lady Song didn't like Huamin, so she decided to torture her. Unexpectedly, Huamin took out an apple from the bag and handed it to her. Apple skin is the most nutritious. Eat it directly. Also, don't wash the apple when you eat it. Although there are pesticides on it, there aren't many of them. If someone dares to eat an apple like this, they'll fight the poison and their immune system will increase. Nonsense. Do you want me to die if I don't eat it? Lady Song was so angry that her face turned green. Huamin, are you kidding? Song Yisher looked at her with a smile. Of course not, I'm a doctor. I know a lot about pathology. I won't blame you if you don't understand, Huamin said in all seriousness. Chapter 10:26. Huamin smiled like a blooming flower. He thought to himself, you and your daughter can pretend to be innocent, but I can too. Nonsense, what kind of doctor are you talking about? It's bad enough that you didn't peel the apple, but you didn't wash it either. I'm not eating anymore. Let's go, sure. Lady Song was furious. She dragged her daughter out of the room and didn't take the apple from Huamin's hand. After they left, Huamin sat down on the edge of the bed with a smile on his face. Honey, get up. She's already gone, stop pretending. Honey, why did you ask Song Yisher to come to a party? You could have just said no. Chin Chu completely rejected this hypocritical woman. He only felt disgusted by her. She wants to have fun, right? Then let her come. I promise she'll have the most unforgettable Christmas of her life. Huamin smiled. That night, even Jiang Xiaowei and Zhu Lingling wouldn't let Song Yisher off the hook so easily, would they? Honey, you've become more scheming. Chin Chu gently reached out his hand and pinched Huamin's chin. I'm just following my husband, okay? Huamin responded with a smile. When it came to scheming, no one was as scheming as Chin Chu. She was just a child's play, right? 3 days later, Chin Chu was discharged from the hospital. Huamin drove Chin Chu back to South Hill Manor early that morning. Uncle Li ordered the maids to make dozens of exquisite dishes. Huamin and Chin Chu could finally have a quiet meal at home. They thought they could spend the night at home, but at noon, Assistant Yang came to South Hill Manor. Sir. Yang was so excited to see Chin Chu that he almost cried. Why are you here? Chin Chu was surprised to see him. You should go back now. The old chairman is too old-fashioned, and no one is used to him. Over the past few days, the company has been in turmoil, and a lot of executives want to resign, because everyone says that GK is done for. Little Yang was also under a lot of pressure. It's only been a few days. Didn't my dad handle it very well? The old chairman's style is different from yours. He's forced to stop a lot of projects. Plus, he's old and obviously can't keep up with the pace of things. During meetings, he's always distracted. Everyone's saying that GK has no future after you and a young lady left because of the conflict between you and the chairman. That's why 3 other senior executives resigned this afternoon. Even I can't hold them back anymore. It's that serious. Huamin was also slightly startled. Chin Chu had just eaten a few mouthfuls of food when he immediately put down his chopsticks. I'll go now. Honey, I'll stay with you. Huamin stopped eating and stood up with Chin Chu. The long-awaited Maybach appeared at GK's headquarters. Everyone immediately stopped making a fuss. President Chin, Mrs. Chin. Hello, President Chin, Mrs. Chin. On the way, the employees excitedly greeted them. They also began to talk about it in private. It seems like all the rumors before were fake. The president and chairman really didn't get along and he took Mrs. Chin to live abroad. Yeah, some people even said that a young lady was kidnapped and her fate is unknown. Look at her, she's perfectly fine. It's probably fake news released by our competitors. It's so infuriating. After Chin Chu returned to GK's headquarters, everyone was excited. We'll have a staff meeting in 10 minutes, Chin Chu ordered. Yes, sir. Little Yang jogged to each department to inform them. 10 minutes later, thousands of employees gathered in GK's largest auditorium. Chin Chu was wearing a black casual suit. He walked onto the stage with Huamin, who was wearing a white knit shirt and a long dress. They sat down at the front desk. Although they still looked a little haggard, Chin Chu and Huamin's appearance at GK's headquarters was enough to dispel all the rumors. The president wants to say a few words to everyone. Please be quiet, Assistant Yang shouted into the microphone. The entire auditorium fell silent. Chin Chu picked up the microphone and looked around. Huamin stood beside him. He opened a bottle of water and placed it next to Chin Chu's hand. He was extremely considerate. Everyone held their breaths, waiting for the president to come back and say something. Chapter 10:27. In today's meeting, I want to clarify 3 points. First, the chairman came back to the company as a temporary replacement. My wife and I had to deal with some important matters, so we didn't have time to come back. Second, rumors stop with the wise. As employees of GK, don't damage the company's reputation with false rumors. This is the end of this matter. If you hear any more rumors in the future, you will not be forgiven. Third, for those of you who want to resign, you have 1 night to consider whether or not you want to withdraw your resignation letter. If you insist on leaving, it's up to you. If you want to stay, the door will still be open. If you want to leave, then I wish you all the best. That's all, thank you everyone. Chin Chu was a man of few words in meetings. He wasn't like some leaders who talked for 4 or 5 hours, making everyone want to sleep. In the past, all high-level meetings were the same. After everyone expressed their views or opinions, Chin Chu would conclude with a few sentences. It was his personality to end things as quickly as possible. After Chin Chu finished speaking, everyone applauded. Then, Chin Chu held Huamin's hand and walked out of the conference room to the president's office. The finance department immediately sent over a ton of receipts, and the other departments sent over many proposals. It seemed like Chin Chu's father hadn't dealt with a lot of work since he came back. Most importantly, his father was getting old. He didn't dare to casually edit new projects, so he left a lot of work for Chin Chu. Sir, these can't be finished anytime soon. You can either go home and do it, or you can do it in a few days, Assistant Yang reminded him. It's okay, I'll leave after I finish. Chin Chu had always been clear about his work and personal life. When he worked, he had to act like he was at work, so he decided to take care of work first. Honey. Chin Chu originally wanted to tell Huamian to go home first. However, Huamin immediately said, I'll help you do it. It'll save you a lot of time. Then, Huamin sat down with all the documents and began to sort through them. Chin Chu looked at her gently. He knew that she wanted to stay with him because she cared about him. Yang looked at his boss and his wife enviously. He knew that they were deeply in love. In this way, Chin Chu and Huamin worked until late at night. It was 11 o'clock. When they came out, the whole building was dark. Everyone had left. Do you want a midnight snack? Chin Chu asked softly. Let's go home and eat. The papaya snow clam stewed by Uncle Lee every night is really delicious. I like it very much. Huamin held Chin Chu's hand and smiled. All right. Then, the two got into the car and drove all the way to South Hill Manor. When the maids saw that their master had returned, they immediately began to prepare supper and sweet soup. When Huamin and Chin Chu came down from the shower, everything was ready. What was rare was that there was a bottle of expensive red wine on the table. Did he take the wrong one? No alcohol, Huamin reminded. Madam, it was Mr. Chin's idea, the maid replied carefully. Leave it here. You guys can go and rest. Chin Chu nodded and told Uncle Lee and the maids to leave. In the bright and spacious dining room, only the two of them were left. The long dining table was covered with a clean white cloth. On top of it were desserts, supper, and ginseng soup. There was also a fruit salad and a bottle of red wine. Honey, you asked for the red wine. Let's have a drink. Huamin asked uncertainly. Chin Chu smiled but didn't say anything. He picked up the bottle of red wine, opened it, and poured it into a glass. He didn't even have time to use a decanter. Then, he handed one of the glasses to Huamin. Honey, thank you for taking care of me these past few days. Although you are the closest person to me in the world, I still have to thank you, Chin Chu said gratefully as he raised his glass. Chapter 10:28. Huamin slowly picked up her wine glass. Mr. Chin, you're so jealous. I can't believe you're trying to make me feel better. Then, the two of them ate and drank. Huamin had a decent tolerance for alcohol, but this red wine was very strong due to its age. Not long after, the two of them split the bottle of red wine. Huamin was a little tipsy. Her cheeks were red as she tilted her head and looked at Chin Chu. Honey, you look so handsome tonight. No matter how smart and witty a woman was, she was still drunk by a bottle of red wine. Of course, Huamin didn't know that the bottle of red wine they drank tonight cost more than 3 million yuan. If she knew, she would be very happy. Without another word, Chin Chu walked over and carried Huamin up to the bedroom upstairs. Are you crazy? Put me down, you just recovered. Huamin was scared to death and kept struggling. Don't worry, your husband is not that weak. Chin Chu didn't care and carried Huamin all the way to the master bedroom on the second floor. Then, he couldn't wait to push her onto the wide and soft bed. Maybe it was because of the wine, or the joy of regaining what she had lost, Huamin was especially passionate tonight. She responded to him actively and cooperated with his gentle movements. In the end, they were lost in a fantasy paradise. This was the first time Huamin slept so well in the past few days. She even snored slightly, which showed how nervous and tired she was. Chin Chu's heart ached as he tucked her in. Then, he hugged her and didn't want to let go. The truth was, he was already prepared for the worst. Even if Huamin never had a child, he would still love her like before. They would always be like this. The next morning, when Huamin woke up, she saw Chin Chu looking at her seriously. Honey, what are you looking at? I'm looking at you. What's there to look at? I'm not the most beautiful woman in the world. Huamin rubbed her eyes and smiled drowsily. Even the most beautiful woman in the world can't compare to my wife. In my eyes, you will always be the most precious existence. Aren't you embarrassed that sweet talk so early in the morning? Huamin smiled shyly. Then, she sat up and leaned against Qin Chu's shoulder. She took out her phone and took a morning selfie. However, he didn't pat her face. Instead, he patted her hands. Two hands with their fingers interlocked. She posted on WeChat and Weibo. The best of you, the best of me, she said, this is the best of us. Is the best of us, sure, the public's loves. Mean, us to herself. Wow, this is the first time GK's young madam has publicly displayed her love. It looks like all the rumors about them being on bad terms and getting a divorce are just rumors. They're getting along very well. Yeah, I have a relative who works at GK. He said that they were holding hands at the staff meeting yesterday. There's no such thing as a divorce. You guys should disperse and stop spreading rumors. Didn't they say that a young lady was getting a divorce because she didn't have children? But it doesn't seem like it. I've always thought that President Qin really loves his wife. I heard that she's his first love. Congratulations. The netizens all expressed their opinions. Jiang Xiaowei saw the post and immediately reposted it on her Weibo account. She even sang Yisher and said, Dear Shir, I hope you can find a man as good as Qin Chu. I hope there's a man who loves you as much as Qin Chu loves Huamin. It was such a beautiful blessing, but Song Yisher was so angry that she couldn't even eat breakfast. Jiang Xiaowei, she's too much. Song Yisher threw down her chopsticks and ate less than 2 bites of her omelette. She was purposely trying to disgust her. Shir, why aren't you eating? Lady Song immediately asked when she saw that her daughter was unhappy. Mom, I don't have an appetite. I'm going to school. Then, Song Yisher grabbed her bag and walked out of the house. She got into her car and drove to school. On the way there, she called Lady Qin. Mama Qin, what do you want for lunch? I'll buy it for you. It's okay, Shir. Qin Chu and his wife are coming home today, so we're having a family dinner. Lady Qin sounded quite happy. Song Yisher's face turned even uglier when she heard this. Chapter 1029. Family Dinner. Mama Qin, don't you hate Huamin the most? Why are you having a family dinner? Song Yisher probed. I didn't like her before, but this time, she did a lot for Chu. Now that I think about it, why would I do that? It's all for my son. Why would I be mad at a kid like her? Ha! Lady Qin's tone softened a lot. She didn't hate Huamin as much as before. Lady Qin was a hypocrite, but she wasn't stupid. She could tell that Huamin really liked Qin Chu this time. She was also unhappy that Lady Song dragged the woman away before the surgery was completed. Oh, I see, but I don't think Huamin will forgive you. She's a stubborn person, so Mama Qin, you should be careful of your conflict with her. Emisham, I know. Do you want me to come over and keep you company at noon? It'll help you a little. Don't let yourself be taken advantage of, just like how you were pushed down by those bastards at his house last time. Song Yisher repeatedly reminded Lady Qin of those unpleasant memories, trying to make her angry. It's okay, Shir. You're busy with work, so you don't have to come. Let's just leave it at that for now. Then, Lady Qin hung up the phone. Song Yisher's face darkened. Was all her efforts to please Lady Qin after she returned to China going down the drain? Just because Huamin was willing to die for Qin Chu, she had no chance at all. Song Yisher didn't want to accept it, however, she couldn't stop the family dinner. After all, she was just an outsider with no status. In the past, Lady Qin was there, so she could stir things up. Now that Lady Qin didn't let her go, she didn't want to get involved. Before Qin Chu and Huamin returned to the Qin family's villa, they went to the Sky Blessing Court first. She bought a lot of vegetables, fruits, and nutritional products for Huamin's mother. Seeing Qin Chu and Huamin holding hands so lovingly, Yang Meirong felt relieved and ignored the rumors. They only returned to the Qin family when it was almost noon. Huamin also bought the same thing. Every time he went to the Qin family, he felt very uncomfortable. She felt that even the housekeeper didn't like her very much. But this time, his attitude was clearly different from before. "You're back. Wash your hands and eat. I'll go upstairs and call your father." Lady Qin wasn't very enthusiastic, but she wasn't as bitter as before. "This seemed to have improved a lot. My mother seems to be different from before," Qin Chu said softly. "I feel it too." Huamin nodded. "Young master, a young lady, take a seat. I'll go wash the fruits for you." Even the housekeeper at home was more diligent. After Qin Yumin came downstairs, the four of them sat around the dining room. "How's the company?" Qin Yumin asked worriedly. "It's all done, Dad. Don't worry. After you took over, there were so many changes. I'm not used to it anymore. I don't even know where to start." "Ha ha ha, young people are so thoughtful. But you have to take care of your body," Qin Yumin reminded his son. "I know, Dad." "Huamin, are you tired from work?" Qin Yumin asked. I haven't officially started work yet. I'll start after Christmas." "That's good. You've been exhausted recently. Rest well at home." Qin Yumin nodded. The crabs were flown in. "They're quite fresh. You guys can have some." Lady Qin knew that Huamin loved seafood, so she flew in a lot of seafood. However, she was too embarrassed to let Huamin eat it, so she kept saying, "You guys, you guys." Huamin was very smart. How could she not see it? She saw that Lady Qin was trying to be nice to her, so she didn't refuse and took the initiative to pick up the crabs. She first peeled one for Qin Chu. Then, she ate it herself. She didn't pretend. "When are you guys going to have the wedding? Have you discussed it?" Qin Yumin took the initiative to talk about the wedding. Huamin didn't say anything. She turned her head and looked at Qin Chu. She didn't know what he meant. Chapter 10:30. I do have this plan, and Mian doesn't have any objections. What about you guys? Do you have any suggestions? Qin Chu asked his parents respectfully. Why don't we do it at the end of the year? Qin Yumin was straightforward and didn't want his son to drag it out any longer. The end of the year is a bit too rushed. I want to do it in a grand manner, Qin Chu replied. Lady Qin glanced at her son and nodded. Our son is right. We only have one son, so we should have a grand wedding. Don't be too hasty. What does Huamin think? Qin Yumin asked. I'm fine with anything. Actually, it's fine if we don't do it. It's just a formality. To be honest, Huamin really didn't care about these things. She felt that the two of them had already gotten their marriage certificate, and they were already husband and wife. Their relationship was very good, so those formalities weren't essential. It would be best if they were, but if they weren't, she wouldn't complain. After all, marriage was a matter between two people, and it wasn't a matter of whose wedding was grand or who would be happier. Of course we have to do it. Marriage is a once-in-a-lifetime event, so we have to prepare well, Qin Yumin said in a serious tone. Qin Chu thought for a moment and said, why don't we do it in May next year? It'll be spring then, and I think it'll be just right. Plus, we'll have a lot of time to prepare. Okay, whatever you guys do. Your mom and I don't have any objections. Qin Yumin nodded in agreement with his son's suggestion. After dinner, Qin Yumin and Qin Chu played Chinese chess. Huamin was bored, so she sat on the sofa and played some games on her phone. The maid cut some fruit and placed it in front of her. A young lady, have some fruit. Okay. Huamin smiled and nodded. At this moment, Lady Qin leaned over and pretended to casually say, eating more kiwis is good for the body. They have a lot of vitamin C, I know. Huamin's tone was indifferent. She never took the initiative to please anyone, but she also didn't want to offend anyone. Lady Qin's attitude couldn't be changed all of a sudden, so there was still some awkwardness between the two of them. Lady Qin sat down on the opposite sofa and pretended to talk to Qin Chu. My friends and sisters are all grandmothers. I don't know how long your father and I have to wait. At the mention of the child, Huamin's expression changed. She lowered her head and continued playing with her phone, pretending not to have heard anything. Qin Chu laughed and said, "What's the hurry? Who knows, maybe we can give birth to 2 children for you. Haha, that would be the best. Your mother and I can never have too many children. It would be best to have a football team." Qin Yumin laughed heartily. It had been a long time since there was such a harmonious atmosphere in this house. Qin Chu and Huamin didn't feel as depressed as before, so they stayed longer than before. Just as they were about to leave, Qin Yumin called out to Huamin. Then, he said guiltily, "Huamin, Qin Chu is lucky that you're here. We're not people who don't know what's good for us. We were too harsh with our words earlier. I hope you can forgive us." "Don't say that. The situation was critical, so I can understand why you said that. After all, no one wants anything to happen to their child. If I was the one lying on the bed, my mother would have said the same thing in a moment of panic." Qin Yumin nodded. "Thank you for being understanding. I hope that our family can get along well in the future." Huamin nodded. Then, Qin Chu and Huamin left the manor and returned to South Hill Manor. We haven't been back to Imperial Park in a while. Do you want to stay there tonight?" Huamin suddenly thought of the home they had lived in for a long time. "I've already sold the house over there." "What? You sold it?" Huamin looked at him in surprise. "Yeah." Qin Chu nodded calmly. "Why did you sell it?" Huamin looked at him with longing eyes. That house contained so many sweet memories between her and Mr. Qin. Chapter 1031. "Because I don't like seeing Song Yishe," Qin Chu answered without hesitation. Huamin was slightly surprised, so that's why Mr. Qin was upset. He thought back to how Song Yishe spent millions to buy Imperial Park. She went through a lot of trouble to become neighbors with them. Every day, she would bring them supper and talk to them. It was disgusting, but Huamin wasn't someone who liked to fight, so he didn't want to get into conflict with her. Now that Qin Chu suddenly sold his house, Huamin didn't want to part with it. However, if it was because he wanted to get away from Song Yishe, then there was nothing wrong with it. He had to admit that Mr. Qin's actions made Huamin really happy. "Honey, have you really never had feelings for Song Yishe? After all, she's prettier than me, more cultured than me, more educated than me, and has a better background than me." Huamin purposely said this to tease Qin Chu. Before he could finish, Qin Chu interrupted him. He said, "No matter how good she is, she's not Huamin, so she doesn't mean anything to me." Mr. Qin rarely said sweet things like this, so Huamin knew that he meant what he said. Therefore, he felt sweet inside. The sudden sale of Imperial Park was indeed a bit sudden. Qin Chu ordered people to move all of his personal belongings from there to South Hill Manor. From now on, this would be his only home. He originally planned to stay there occasionally, but Song Yishe messed up his plans. Song Yishe didn't know that Qin Chu and Huamian were moving. That night, when she saw that the lights were on, she thought that they were living there. Therefore, she bought some snacks and beer and went up to press the doorbell. "Who are you looking for?" The person who opened the door was a big, burly man with a bare upper body. He looked quite fierce. Song Yishe wasn't prepared for this, so she was startled. "Excuse me, isn't the owner of this house surnamed Qin?" Song Yishe asked weakly. "Oh. No, I just bought this house. It's in the hands of an agent." The big man's voice was very loud. "Oh. I see." Song Yishe realized that the house was sold, but she didn't know it at all. Beauty. You know the owner of this house. Come in and have a seat. Let's have a good chat." The burly man saw that Song Yishe was quite beautiful, so he flirted with her. "No need." Song Yishe was so angry that she immediately turned around and went downstairs. Then, she returned to her room. She had spent a lot of money to buy Imperial Park, just to have more chance encounters with Qin Chu, but now, everything was ruined. His home in South Hill Manor was a standalone villa with no neighbors within a 10-mile radius. Therefore, even if she wanted to continue living with him, there was nothing she could do. The losses outweighed the gains. She picked up her phone and dialed a number. "Contact an agent for me tomorrow. I want to sell my house." That night, Song Yishe didn't stay at her place. After hearing that Qin Chu had sold his house, she was no longer in the mood to stay. She drove back to the Song family in the middle of the night. "Song family mansion, baby. Why are you home so late?" Lady Song was in the middle of putting on a face mask. She was quite surprised to see her daughter home. "Yeah, I'm not going to live there anymore. I'm going to sell the house." "What? Sell it? Didn't you just buy it?" "Yeah. But Qin Chu already moved out. What's the point of continuing to live there?" Song Yishe only didn't pretend to be a goddess in front of her mother. She didn't speak in a good tone, and sometimes her attitude was bad as well. However, Mr. and Mrs. Song were used to it. After all, she was the apple of their eye, and they were afraid that she would melt in their mouth. Qin Chu moved out. Lady Song was a little surprised. "Let's not talk about this anymore. I feel uncomfortable." "Oh yeah, Mom. Do you know a good tailor?" Song Yishe changed the topic. Chapter 1032. You're going to make clothes. Yeah. I'm going to a party for Christmas. I have to be the most outstanding one and attract everyone's attention. I can't lose to Huamin. I want to win. That's easy. I know all the best tailors in the city. Tomorrow, I'll call them over to make clothes for you. Just tell them what you want. I guarantee that you'll be satisfied. Lady Song was 100% supportive of her daughter. Even though she knew that her daughter was going to ruin someone else's marriage, she still indulged her daughter. There was only one person in the Song family who understood the situation, and that was Mayor Song. However, Mayor Song was very busy and often went on business trips. Therefore, he didn't know what the mother and daughter were doing. Inside Tang Chuan's private mansion, a small party was held. Many hot bikini beauties swam and drank in the pool in the middle of winter. Fortunately, the water in the pool could be heated. These rich people really knew how to enjoy themselves. They could do whatever they wanted regardless of the season. Tang Chuan was one of the more fickle ones among Su Yu's buddies. He always changed women and wasn't true to any one of them. They were the kind that could afford to play and let go. As for the family business, the Tang family was very big and had many members. Tang Chuan's brothers and sisters were all well-known entrepreneurs. Therefore, when it came to him, he only cared about eating, drinking, and having fun. This was more relaxed than Su Yu and Wei Liao. The Tang family could easily make a few billion for him to pass the time. In the past, when he was bored, he even opened a venture capital company in some bars. Later, he felt that managing the company was too tiring and too worrisome. He simply stopped doing anything and just ate, drank, and had fun all day long. However, he would always have an endless amount of money. Just his shares in the Tang family alone made him an endless amount of money every year. Therefore, he basically didn't know what his life goal was. He was born without a goal. Tang Chuan patted the butt of the beauty in his arms. Good girl, go play for a while. I'll talk to Lord Su. Remember to look for him later. The beauty got up reluctantly. Before she left, she even winked at Tang Chuan. She was afraid that she would lose his favor. He watched as the girl swayed her hips and left. Su Yu glanced at Tang Chuan helplessly. You've been playing for so long. Aren't you tired? I'm not tired. It's very interesting. I'm never tired of it, Tang Chuan said with a smile. Su Yu was also speechless. Tang Chuan had been dating different women since he was a teenager. These people were comparable to human traffickers. He had handled at least 80 women, if not 100. However, none of them were sick of it. Some of the rich Ansha family members who used to hang out with Tang Chuan had turned over a new leaf. Some of them got tired of playing and changed their sexual orientation to play with men. However, he was still as extravagant as ever. It had to be said that it was a form of single-mindedness. I really admire you. Su Yu commented. Ha ha ha, that's why I said that I'm a kind of single-minded person in a certain aspect. Lord Su, take a look at these girls. Do you like any of them? No. Su Yu didn't even look at them and directly rejected them. Impossible. Take a good look. I carefully selected these girls. Their body proportions are perfect, and their looks are top-notch. They're not the kind of freaks who have undergone plastic surgery. Most importantly, they're relatively clean. You know what I mean. After speaking, Tang Chuan winked at Su Yu and gave him a hint. It's okay. You can keep them for yourself. You don't have to worry about me, Su Yu said as he sipped his beer. Oh right. Do you have any plans for Christmas? Not yet. I don't know if the company has a movie coming up. I haven't had time to look at the schedule yet, Su Yu replied. Wei Liao and his wife received an invitation from Huamin. I heard that on Christmas Eve, Huamin is holding a party at South Hill Manor. I heard that it's cosplay, Tang Chuan said excitedly. Chapter 1033. Oh. Lord Su's reaction was very indifferent. He knew that whatever Huamin held had nothing to do with him, and he wouldn't be invited. So, he really didn't invite you? No, Su Yu replied. Huamin is a bit too heartless, isn't he? Who was the one who found her the military doctor when her husband was in surgery? Who was the one who didn't sleep for 3 days and 3 nights, running back and forth in the hospital? Now that he's recovered, he's burning the bridge after crossing it. As Su Yu's best friend, Tang Chuan always thought that Huamin was heartless if he didn't reciprocate Su Yu's feelings. Even if they couldn't be lovers, they could still be friends. At the very least, he should thank Su Yu or something. However, Huamin didn't say anything, which made Tang Chuan feel bad for Su Yu. I was willing to do those things, what does it have to do with her? Don't put the blame on her. Su Yu even defended Huamin, Lord Su, I don't understand how you fell into this woman's trap. I don't understand either. Su Yute smiled bitterly. Damn it. You're so annoying. Even I feel bad seeing you like this. If it were up to me, you should hurry up and find a new woman. It's okay if you don't have feelings for her, feelings come from sleeping with her. Lin Na, come here. Tang Chuan waved his hand and called over a sweet-looking girl with waist-length hair and a light blue bikini. Young Master Tang. The girl smiled sweetly. Come, keep Lord Su company. Tang Chuan pointed at Su Yu and said. The girl immediately understood. She walked behind Su Yu and massaged his shoulders. Su Yu immediately stood up awkwardly. It's okay. Young Master Su, did I do it wrong? Or was I not strong enough? The girl looked innocent. None of them. You guys have fun. I'm going back first. Hey, come back. I prepared a party for you tonight. Tang Chuan stood behind him. No matter what he said, Su Yu insisted on leaving. This was completely different from the previous Su Yu, young Master Tang. I heard that young Master Su isn't like this. It was the first time for the girl to see Su Yu being so cold, so she was quite disappointed. If she could spend the night with Su Yu, she would be rich. It was said that many A-list actresses in Imperial Star used to be spoiled by Su Yu, so now they could do whatever they wanted in the entertainment industry. He wasn't like this in the past. Later, he met someone. Sigh, let's not talk about it. I feel sad for him. Tang Chuan sighed again and again. He felt sorry for Su Yu because he could not walk out of the emotional prison. In fact, Su Yu didn't feel sad at all. Instead, he felt that his life had become more fulfilling after meeting Huamin. In the past, he was like a walking corpse, living every day in a daze. No matter how much money he spent, he couldn't buy a little bit of happiness. Now, he had something to look forward to every day. Even if he just glanced at her Weibo, he would feel happy. He was like a teenager who had just fallen in love. Unlike others, Su Yu spent his youth in the army. There were no girls or school beauties there. There were only a group of strong men. They only faced hellish training and life and death tests. To him, Huamin was the first girl he fell in love with. It was like she was his first love. Although it was one-sided, it made him taste the joys and sorrows of life. Sometimes, he greedily thought that if only God would give him a little chance. How good would it be to have Huamin by his side for a while, even if Huamin left in the end. But at least she would leave him with a good memory. Now, to Su Yu, the most precious memory was the time when he was recuperating at South Side. Later, he even thought about whether or not he should go back to South Side and injure his ligaments. However, Huamin was no longer the head nurse of the orthopedics department. Now, Huamin was the famous chief neurologist at South Side. This woman was so outstanding that she could shine with a dazzling light if she wasn't careful. South Hill Manor. After being tortured by Mr. Qin, Huamin felt a little sleepy. She closed her eyes and wanted to sleep. Suddenly, she heard Qin Chu ask, "Honey, should we invite Su Yu to the Christmas party?" Chapter 1034. Honey, did I hear you right? Huamin instantly stopped teleporting. She turned around and hugged Qin Chu. She pressed her face tightly against his chest. No. But are you sure you're not jealous? Of course not. The corners of Qin Chu's lips curled up. But why did you suddenly have this idea? Huamin felt that Qin Chu and Su Yu were obvious rivals. Whether it was in terms of business or personal relationships, they were not friends. So, wouldn't Huamian feel bad inviting him over? I just suddenly remembered that you invited so many people this time. Let's not talk about Gao Ran and Zhu Lingling. They're our best friends, but Wei Liao and Jiang Xiaowei, they seem to be friends with Su Yu too. Since they're all friends, why don't we invite them over to hang out? But, won't you be unhappy? Huamin was still a little worried. After all, Su Yu never hid his feelings for her, and Qin Chu always knew what he was thinking. Was it really a good idea to invite his love rival over? Qin Chu tightened his arms around Huamin's waist, he kissed her forehead intimately. Your husband isn't a petty person. I can tell right from wrong. Su Yu seemed to have helped us a lot this time when I was unconscious. No matter what his intentions were, whether it was for you or for whatever reason, he still did so much for us. I'm not a heartless person, and I won't pretend that I didn't see it. Su Yu didn't take advantage of me when I was unconscious, nor did he hit the company when they were down. He didn't use any other means to attack me or take revenge on me. I think he's a gentleman. Qin Chu shared his thoughts on Su Yu. Su Yu is indeed a gentleman, Huamin admitted. The current Su Yu was a bit like Lu Xiying in the past. Although they were enemies, they were brazen. Su Yu didn't know how to be secretive. Those who were most afraid of backstabbing were the ones who were most afraid of backstabbing. Therefore, Su Yu's character was still remarkable. Since Song Yisher can come, why can't Su Yu come? Since it's an open party, it's not a big deal. Let's invite them together, Qin Chu suggested. But I don't think he'll come. Huamin said slowly. She recalled that day at the hospital. Su Yu had clearly come, but he did not appear. It was as if he was avoiding her. After they recovered, they did not meet Su Yu face to face, nor did they interact on Weibo. Perhaps Su Yu had thought it through and did not want to continue to interfere in their relationship. So, Huamin felt that even if she invited him, he might not be able to come. Whether he comes or not is his business, but whether we invite him or not is our business. I, Qin Chu, am not a narrow-minded person. Even if we are rivals, Su Yu is definitely an opponent worthy of respect. Tolerance is the most important thing. Hubby, I really admire your breadth of mind. Huamin looked at Qin Chu with admiration in her eyes. She suddenly felt that her husband was so high and mighty. He was simply a perfect man. There were many types of men, but it was rare to find someone as magnanimous as Qin Chu. Admire? Really? You're not trying to suck up to me? Qin Chu looked at her with a puzzled smile. Of course not, I swear. Fine, I believe you. Since you admire me so much, I'll give you a chance. What chance? Huamin froze. I'll give you a chance to take advantage of me. Let's do it again. After Qin Chu spoke, he suddenly picked up Huamin and placed her on top of him. She straddled his body. This position was filthy. Ah, again. Let's not. I don't have any energy left. It's fine. Just sit, I'll move you. Huamin immediately covered her face with her hands. Even she felt her face burning. Mr. Qin was talking dirty again. Chapter 1035. The next morning, when Huamin woke up, the first thing she felt was an ache in her waist and back. Then, she looked at the time on her phone and realized that it was already 9 a.m. She hadn't slept this late in a long time. Why did she sleep until the sun was shining on her butt? She groggily turned around and didn't see Qin Chu. So, she sent him a WeChat message. Honey, did you go to work? Yeah, you're awake, honey. Qin Chu's tone was full of love. I slept for so long, why didn't you wake me up? You were too tired, so I didn't have the heart to wake you up. Qin Chu smiled. How dare you say that? My waist is still sore. Huamin complained. She didn't know what happened last night, but Mr. Chin's animal instincts kicked in and he went at it for a long time. In the end, Huamin begged for mercy. Now, she felt like her legs didn't belong to her anymore. It's okay, you don't have to go to work anyway. Take your vacation. What vacation? It's Christmas Eve today. I need to prepare the materials and decorate the house with everyone. We'll be waiting for them tonight. The party is tonight, and it's my first time hosting, so I can't embarrass myself. Okay, do you need me to do anything? No, just get off work on time. Huamin smiled. Okay, see you tonight, honey. Good luck. For the first time, Chin Chu smiled and cheered for Huamin. His expression was so cute. Oh right, honey, who are we cosplaying as tonight? You decide, I'm fine with anything. Chin Chu wasn't very interested in these things, so he didn't want to make the decision himself. If you leave it to me, aren't you afraid that I'll dress you up as Spider-Man or something? Let me tell you, I'm very imaginative, and you'll die from shock. It's okay, you can dress me up, as long as you like it. Chin Chu had already made up his mind to hand it over to Huamin, so Huamin didn't waste any more words with him. After waking up, Huamin chose a milky white thin sweater and a light pink cotton padded jacket. She looked very young and was still dressed like a high school student. Zhu Lingling had once told her, "Girl, your taste hasn't changed at all. The clothes you wore at the beginning of the first year of high school are the same as the ones you're wearing now." She was a person who didn't know how to dress herself up. Once there was any public event in the company, it was Chin Chu who arranged for the stylist. Usually, she was very casual and always dressed like the girl next door. She was different from Song Yisher. Song Yisher was a goddess, so she had always been noble and elegant. Zhu Lingling, on the other hand, was sexier. Low breasts and tight buttocks were her favorite. Jiang Xiaowei, who had a high EQ, was more intellectual. Most of the time, she was more elegant. After Huamin got dressed and washed up, she went downstairs for breakfast. As she ate, she told the people at home to clean up and empty the entire living room. She was waiting for the Christmas party tonight. Then, Huamin contacted GK's planning department and discussed the plan with them. Then, 5 people from the planning department went to buy raw materials, and the other 5 came to the house to decorate. Huamin thought that she should be able to get everything done in one day. The party didn't start until 7 p.m. anyway, so she still had a lot of time. Therefore, she drove to Phoenix Hill, where Ni Yang lived. "Sister Huamin, why are you here?" Ni Yang was pleasantly surprised when he saw Huamin. "Of course I'm here to see you. How's your recovery?" "I'm doing great. I'm getting moldy from staying here. Can you talk to President Qin and let me go back to work?" Ni Yang's surgery was very successful. After that, he recuperated in the mansion and didn't leave. He was bored out of his mind, so when he saw Huamin, he felt like he saw his savior. I knew you were bored, so I'm here to invite you to my party." "Wow, what party? Hurry up and tell me." Ni Yang was suddenly very curious. Chapter 1036. It's a Christmas party where we'll be cosplaying as villains. Do you want to come? Whoa, sounds so cool. Ni Yang couldn't be happier. At his age, he loved all kinds of weird stuff, so he was very interested in cosplaying. "Do you want to come?" "I have to come, it's awesome. I have a feeling that this will be the most unforgettable Christmas of my life." Ni Yang clapped his hands and cheered. Looking at his bright and handsome face, Huamin asked tentatively, "Have you been in contact with Xiao Wan lately?" "Sis, why are you bringing up that scumbag?" Ni Yang's face immediately darkened when he heard the name Xiao Wan. "Ni Yang, don't talk about her like that. She is your mother. Mother, haha, that word is too heavy. Does she deserve it? She's only the mother of that child, not mine. She didn't fulfill her responsibilities as a mother to me. I'm afraid she's ashamed of herself. Yang sneered. Maybe, she has her own difficulties, Min said tentatively. Difficulties? Ha. I don't think there's any reason for a mother to give up on her own son for so many years, not caring if he's dead or alive. Her heart must be made of steel, right? Yang smiled bitterly. Seeing his strong reaction, Min didn't dare to bring it up again. Instead, she changed the topic. After New Year's Day, I'll let the company gradually restore your work. Because you're still injured, we'll take on some photo shoots for the next 6 months and release some new singles. Don't take any more fights or tours. Your health is the most important thing. Thank you, Sis Min. What are you thanking me for? You call me Sis, how could I mistreat my own little brother? Min patted Yang's head lovingly. I'm so lucky to have met a big sister like you. Yang smiled happily. With his dimples, he looked just like the boy next door. He didn't look like a superstar at all. No, I think I'm the lucky one to know you. Even my biological brother keeps asking you to sign autographs and send them to his friends. I don't even dare to post photos of us together. My WeChat moments and Weibo are all over the place. Then I'll blow one up for them now. After saying that, Yang naughtily took out his phone and took a group photo while hiding behind Min. Then, he took a picture and posted it on Weibo. Sister Min came to visit me personally. She even invited me to her party. Sure enough, after Yang posted it, there were 30 to 40,000 comments. His comment section was more harmonious. Most of them were true fans, therefore, everyone was the same. Boss, you're the best. I'm happy for Boss. Merry Christmas. Boss, you've lost weight again. Eat more meat. Look at you, you're not even as big as Sister Min's face. When Min saw this, she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Was this a compliment or a compliment? After staying for a while, Min walked out and drove to the cafe. After Shui recovered, Min used her connections to send him to school. Xiaowan didn't sell scallion pancakes anymore. Instead, she found a respectable job. She was the head of cleaning at one of Min's 13 shops. The monthly salary was good and the treatment was good. Most importantly, Xiaowan put in a lot of effort and kept the place clean. When Min walked into the cafe, everyone greeted her. Hello, a young lady. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. Min smiled slightly. A young lady, what would you like to drink? The manager asked carefully. A cup of hot mocha. Okay. Then, Min walked up to Xiaowan who was cleaning on the second floor. Sister Xia. Dr. Hua. When she saw Min, she immediately straightened her back. She was very reserved and showed her respect to Min. How is it? Are you used to it? It's great. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Do your job well. If you need anything, just let me know. Dr. Hua. Yang, he. Xiaowan stuttered. Chapter 1037. He's recovering well. I just came back from his place to tell you about it. That's good. How about Shui? How's he doing? Do you like school? Min asked with a smile. Xiaowan nodded vigorously. Yeah, I like it a lot. He even told me that he met a lot of new friends and classmates. That's good. Don't worry, I'll find a chance for you and I Yang to meet. We'll try to resolve the conflict between you two as soon as possible, okay? Xiaowan nodded. Huamin then had a cup of coffee. After inspecting the 13 stores, he left with satisfaction. Back then, he took back GK's 13 stores in a fit of pique with Song Yisher and ran it himself. Now, it had become the busiest street in the city and was filled with people every day. The sales volume was surprisingly good. Huamin was shocked when he saw the numbers. If things continued like this, she wouldn't need Qin Chu to support her. She would be a rich woman in the future. The TV station's finance channel had invited Huamin to do an interview several times to talk about his entrepreneurial experience. However, she politely declined. It wasn't because she was too pretentious or low-key. It was because she thought that the 13 stores could do well because they were her own stores and she didn't have to pay rent. Therefore, she didn't want to show off in the interview and talk about her experience. What experience could she have? She could only say that she was rich. Only by making money could she make money. That was the only way to survive in the rich circle. Huamin ran around outside the whole morning. At noon, he went to Sky Blessing Court to have lunch with his mother. When he finally arrived at South Hill Manor, it was already past 5 in the evening. GK's planning department was indeed an elite team. They finished everything in one day. Even the details that Huamin asked for were done perfectly. Huamin's eyes lit up. The entire living room was decorated in black. There were vintage candlesticks, pianos, telephones, and all sorts of other decorations. It was as if she had traveled back in time to 18th century Europe. The decorations matched the manor perfectly. The chandelier had been changed to a dark purple color, which added a lot of mystery to people. The Santa Claus at the door had changed from her usual red color to a black cloak, just like the witches in Harry Potter. She was also holding a broom, which was very cute. The mythical beast, the reindeer, had also turned into a black eagle, which was very visually stimulating. The green Christmas tree had turned dark gray, and the little colored lights hanging on it were also dark. It really was a villain's party. Everything was so dark. A young lady, isn't this arrangement a little too dark? The head of the planning department laughed awkwardly. No, I think it's great. Huamin nodded with satisfaction. Huamin gave the staff of the planning department a big red packet and told them to go out and have a big meal. After that, she looked at her watch. It was already 6:00. It's too late. I have to go and do my makeup. She thought that since Qin Chu was about to get off work, she had to do her makeup and cosplay first. At this moment, she suddenly thought of a very important question, so she opened Weibo and sent a private message to Suyu. Are you there? Yes. Suyu replied almost instantly. Ever since he found out that Huamin also used Weibo, he was basically on Weibo 24/7. When he saw that she was suddenly talking to him, he was very surprised. There's something I want to talk to you about. What is it? Suyu pretended to be calm as he replied. I'm having a private party at my South Hill Manor tonight. The theme is to cosplay as villains. Are you interested in coming? Huamin asked carefully. So, are you inviting me now? Suyu was a little in disbelief. Yesterday, Tang Chuan had just finished complaining about Huamin, saying that Huamin was disloyal and kicking him to the curb. Today, Huamin invited him. If Tang Chuan was here, it would be a slap in the face. So will you come? Huamin asked softly. Chapter 1038. Emichim, Suyu knew that he shouldn't go, because every time he saw Huamin, his heart would sink deeper. However, he couldn't help but agree because he wanted to see her too much. Suyu wasn't interested in parties or cosplay. The only thing that kept him going was that he wanted to see her. Hurry up, it's almost time. It starts at 7 p.m, you can still make it if you put on your makeup now. South Hill Manor. Got it, Suyu replied. Then, see you in a bit. Okay, see you in a bit. Suyu's gaze became gentle. The word see you in a bit sounded so nice coming from Hwamin's mouth. Even after he put down his phone, Suyu still had a proud smile on his face, and yes, boss. Cancel all the plans tonight. Boss, there are 2 important parties tonight. One is the 60th birthday of our business partner, President Liu, and the other is the 1-month-old celebration of Mr. Zhou's son. Both are very important. Before An could finish, Suyu interrupted him. I said, cancel all of them. Don't make me repeat myself. An was slightly surprised, but then he nodded. Okay, boss, I'll arrange it right away. After leaving Imperial Star, Suyu sped all the way back to the Su family. Son, you're back so early. Are you having dinner at home? Mom, what kind of villain do you think I should play? Suyu asked excitedly. What are you talking about? Mrs. Su didn't understand at all. Forget it, I'll think of one myself. After speaking, Suyu jogged upstairs. In the past, his company often held cosplay parties, and he would sometimes join in the fun. Therefore, he had a lot of costumes at home. After Hwamin called Suyu, she started a 3-person group chat with Jiang Xiaowei and Zhu Lingling on WeChat while putting on her makeup. Hwamin, is everything ready? Pretty girls. Jiang Xiaowei, I'm done. All that's left is my comrade Old Wei. I'll be there soon. Don't worry, I won't be late. Zhu Lingling, I'm done too. I'll reach your house in about 10 minutes. It's time to witness a miracle. Ha! Hwamin, Lingling, are you cosplaying as the White Bone Spirit? Why did he make it sound so dangerous? Zhu Lingling, pfft. How is that possible? The white skeleton spirit is so ugly. It's just a pile of bones. I want it to be beautiful. Jiang Xiaowei, Mian, who's coming tonight? Let me know. Hwamin, other than the 3 of us, there's also Ni Yang, Mo Shui, Hua Xiqin, Su Yu. Oh right, there's also Song Yisher. Jiang Xiaowei, wait, I can understand Su Yu, but who the hell is Song Yisher? Zhu Lingling, yeah, don't invite that scheming bitch. Is there something wrong with your brain? Hwamin, I had no choice. If she wants to come, then so be it. Jiang Xiaowei, damn, wait for me to torture her to death. Zhu Lingling, yes, 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 me too. The 3 of us will work together and torture bitch Song to death. Jiang Xiaowei, but Mian, does Qin Chu know that you invited Suyu? Jiang Xiaowei was more meticulous, so she thought of this. Hwamin, Mr. Qin asked me to invite him. Zhu Lingling and Jiang Xiaowei were both dumbfounded when they heard this. I don't understand what Mr. Qin is thinking, but since he invited him, then so be it. Hwamin nodded and comforted himself. So, girl, who are you cosplaying as tonight? I'm curious, Zhu Lingling asked with a smile. Me too, Jiang Xiaowei chimed in. Ha, I'm not telling you. You'll know when you get here. Hwamin purposely acted mysterious. Just then, she stood up and looked at herself in the mirror. She nodded in satisfaction. Honey, I'm back. Qin Chu's words got stuck in his throat before he could finish. Because he wasn't sure if the person in front of him was his wife. Honey, are you surprised? Hwamin pointed at her outfit and bit her lip with a subtle smile. Chapter 1039. Ah. To be honest, Chin Chu wasn't surprised, but he was a little shocked. He happily went home to see his wife after work, but when he opened the door, what the hell did he see? She didn't look like Huamin at all. She was wearing a red and black robe, the kind with the collar turned up. It was very cool. There was a lot of foundation on her face, and her lips were very, very red. Most importantly, there were 2 blinding zombie fangs. Her eyes were dark purple, contact lenses. She wore a silver wig on top of her shoulder-length hair, the kind that reached her waist. She wore a small crown on top of her silver hair, but could someone tell him why the crown was black? She was cosplaying as a villain, right? Did she have to be so dark? When he entered the house just now. When Chin Chu entered the living room, he thought he had traveled through time. It was dark, and even the candlesticks were eerie. He was indeed shocked. It seemed like Huamin had put in a lot of effort to prepare for this party. Honey, so you're cosplaying as a vampire count? Chin Chu was speechless. It was quite childish for an adult to cosplay as a vampire, but it wasn't scary. Huamin, on the other hand, was cute as a vampire. No, you're the vampire count. I'm cosplaying as the vampire countess, okay? Huamin said confidently. Okay, so you prepared this outfit for me? Chin Chu walked over and smiled. Yeah, if you're not satisfied, you can think of something else. Anyways, I'm a fan of vampires, so I'm good at cosplaying as one. Huamin was determined to be a vampire, so she didn't care what Chin Chu thought of her. Okay, I'm willing to risk my life to accompany you. Chin Chu loved his wife so much, how could he refuse her kindness? Therefore, he also quickly changed his clothes and put on makeup. When Chin Chu was done, Huamin was stunned when he looked up at him. She was also wearing a black robe. She also had purple contact lenses and crystal white dentures. Her hair was short and silver. His eyes were cold and arrogant as usual. She didn't think that Mr. Chin's rare cosplay as a vampire count would be so stunning. I'll give you 9 points for this outfit. I'm afraid you'll get too proud. Huamin gave her a thumbs up. Their outfits matched each other very well. At first glance, one could tell that they were a couple. There was simply no sense of disharmony. My beautiful vampire lady, please come downstairs with me. Our guests are coming. Chin Chu extended his hand in invitation. Huamin smiled and put his hand in Chin Chu's. They walked downstairs hand in hand. The butler, Uncle Li, and the maids also wore black robes to match the atmosphere today. Wearing the vampire's fake teeth was simply too adorable. It was almost time. Zhang Xiaowei and Zhu Lingling just said in the WeChat group that they were almost here. Huamin was about to call them to hurry them up when he saw a black Jaguar parked in the parking lot in front of the door. The moment Gao Ran and Zhu Lingling got out of the car, Huamin was shocked. It turned out that Zhu Lingling really wasn't joking. She didn't cosplay as the White Bone Demon, but she really did cosplay as Snow White's stepmother, the Heartless Queen. She was cosplaying as Angelina Jolie in Sleeping Charm, and she was dressed in a black robe. Not only that, but she also had 2 black horns on her head. It was the kind of outfit that would shock people to death. The good thing was that Lingling was very pretty. Although she was shocked, she was still beautiful. Ahem, you're probably the most beautiful heartless queen I've ever seen, ha. Huamin couldn't help but laugh. So what are you cosplaying as? Chin Chu looked at Gao Ran and asked. Huamin also looked at Gao Ran. He was also wearing a black robe and a golden mask on his face. It was like a mirror that reflected light. It was very novel. Can't you guys tell? I'm obviously very compatible with Venomous Tongueling. Gao Ran was a little speechless. So you're the queen's husband, the king. Huamin asked tentatively. Chapter 1040. No, he's the magic mirror that accompanies the queen, Zhu Lingling added. Huamin, Qin Chu, the couple was smart, but they didn't realize that Gao Ran was cosplaying as a magic mirror. Then, Zhu Lingling raised her finger and lifted Gao Ran's chin. Magic mirror, who is the most beautiful woman in the world? Queen, you are the most beautiful woman in the world, Gao Ran flattered. Zhu Lingling nodded in satisfaction, then, Gao Ran added, but, Snow White is 1,000 times more beautiful than you. Fuck you, damn police officer, I'm going to kill you. Zhu Lingling chased after Gao Ran and ran around the living room. This couple was the kind that was very familiar with each other and treated South Hill Manor as their own home. Huamin and Qin Chu laughed. Just then, a luxurious Mercedes-Benz RV stopped in the parking lot. Jiang Xiaowei and Wei Liao stepped out of the car. Wei Liao used to drive a Bentley a lot, but ever since he got together with Jiang Xiaowei, he changed his taste. Especially after she got pregnant, Wei Liao basically drove a RV because it was spacious and comfortable. It could accommodate Jiang Xiaowei lying down and sitting down. Wow. Honey, guess what they're cosplaying as? Huamin excitedly held on to Qin Chu's hand. Ahem, you should tell them, I think it's childish. Qin Chu didn't have the heart to tell them when he saw Jiang Xiaowei and Wei Liao's costumes. Compared to these cruel people, he and Huamin were much more loving as the vampire count. These people are going to ruin the cosplay, okay? When Jiang Xiaowei came in, she was wearing a red cloak, a white fur collar, a yellow crown, black fishnet stockings, and red high heels. She looked extremely flirtatious. She had long, dark gray curly hair, purple eyeshadow, and a beauty mark at the edge of her eye. Most importantly, she was holding a mini frying pan in her hand. So, Xiaowei, are you cosplaying as Red Wolf? Huamin asked weakly. Smart. Jiang Xiaowei answered matter-of-factly. Compared to Red Wolf, Grey Wolf didn't seem to have any special features. Wei Liao was wearing a cute little hat, a gray wig, and a dark gray vest. He even had a long, unique scar on his face. Compared to Red Wolf, this Wei Liao was definitely a little weak. Welcome Grey Wolf and his wife. Huamin applauded, thinking that Red Wolf's character was perfect for her temperament. Even Wei Liao thought that she was just playing herself, okay? Your vampire outfits are so cool. I give you full marks. Jiang Xiaowei liked Huamin's costume. The cool vampire couple was the ultimate characters in Western fairy tales. After the four of them chatted for a while, Huamin helped Jiang Xiaowei sit down and asked the maid to pour them a glass of warm water. Xiaowei, you're pregnant. Why are you wearing so much makeup? Is it okay? It's okay. I've asked around. This is harmless makeup, so it's fine. That's good. Zhu Lingling, that's the queen of the sleeping spell. She looks like it. Jiang Xiaowei burst out laughing when she saw Zhu Lingling not far away. Yeah, she's always been a fan of Angelina Jolie. That's why she's so desperate to play this role. It's funny, Huamin explained. At this moment, a white Maserati stopped on the lawn in front of them. Xiqian and Emo Shui came together. As soon as they got out of the car, everyone fell silent. This outfit is so cool, right? Chapter 1041. Xiqian was wearing a bright yellow dragon robe with 9 dragons embroidered on it. On his head, he wore an emperor's hat. Most importantly, he even put on special makeup and used a fake hair stick to his hair, making it into a braid unique to the Qing dynasty. Even his shoes matched him perfectly. It was obvious that he was dressed in high-quality clothes that only the crew would wear. Hua Xiqian held a fan in his hand and fanned himself as he walked. He looked like a romantic emperor. When Huamin first saw him, he was a bit confused. He didn't know which emperor he was cosplaying. Xuanji, Kangxi, Yongjing, Qianlong, Jiaqing, Daoguang, Xianfeng, Guangxu. There were too many emperors in the Qin dynasty. Even Huang Taiji and Nurhasai were dressed like this, so it was hard to tell them apart. However, when he saw Mo Shui, he immediately knew who she was. This was because Mo Shui's outfit and appearance made her look exactly like an imperial concubine. Even the armor she was wearing was exactly the same. Damn. Mo Shui is so beautiful in ancient costumes. Even Zhu Lingling exclaimed. If Mo Shui was cosplaying as concubine Hua, then Hua Xiqian was definitely Yongjing. When the two of them walked in, Huamin walked up to them to greet them. You two are dressed so formally. Awesome. Huamin gave them a thumbs up. So, my little sister, are you playing a vampire today? Hua Xiqian looked at Huamin with endless gentleness in his eyes. It was the first time he saw Huamin dressed like this, and he looked really cute. Yeah, I've liked zombie teeth since I was young. Finally, I can fulfill a small wish. Huamin smiled shyly. Mo Shui reached out and touched Huamin's little crown. She smiled and said, "It's very pretty, I like it a lot." Thank you, Shui. Come in, sit down and have something to drink. After Hua Xiqian and Mo Shui walked in, the atmosphere became even livelier. Hua Xiqian walked over and looked at Qin Chu. Was this your idea? Yeah. Qin Chu nodded, but he didn't seem to like talking to Hua Xiqian. She's so capricious, but she's even cuter when she's capricious, Hua Xiqian sighed. Qin looked at Qin Chu was captivated by Hua Xiqian Huamin. The next person to enter was Ni Yang, who came with Sister Ingzi. She drove Ni Yang's own Porsche sports car. It was dark red, very beautiful, and very eye-catching. Ni Yang's cosplay was very cool. He was the most eye-catching character in Grave Robbers Chronicles. Zhang Qi Ling Hua Xiqian was wearing a black hoodie with a large hoodie over his head, making him look even more mysterious. His right hand was bandaged with white gauze and he held a black knife in his other hand. As his assistant, Sister Ingzi was also dressed in a standard Grave Robbers outfit, which was all black. It was a perfect match for today's theme. Huamin patted Ni Yang's head lovingly. You little brat, why are you dressed up like this? Are you trying to steal the show? Sister Huamin, you're so cool as a vampire. I love you. Ni Yang reached out and touched Huamin's fake teeth. He was having a lot of fun. You two should go in, it's cold outside. Huamin quickly took care of them. Huamian looked at the time and realized that it was almost 7:30 p.m. Everyone was here, the only ones who didn't come were Su Yu and Song Yisher. Did the two of them change their minds at the last minute? Why don't I see Lord Su? Jiang Xiaowei asked loudly. Wei Liao froze. Did Lord Su say he's coming? Obviously, he didn't know. Jiang Xiaowei nodded. Yeah, Mian said in the WeChat group that Lord Su is coming. Before Huamin could say anything, the black Lamborghini's sixth elemental slammed on the brakes and stopped in the parking lot in front of the door. His speed was astonishingly fast. No one saw how he drove in, but the car was already parked. As expected of a top-notch sports car, it was just that awesome. Compared to before, all the other cars were nothing but trash. Wow, it really is Lord Su's car. Wei Liao was obviously a little excited. He was originally here to accompany his wife and wasn't familiar with the others. Now that Suyu was here, everything was fine. He just had one more person to accompany him. When Suyu got out of the car, he walked very slowly. When the people inside saw him through the glass, they were all stunned. What is Lord Su cosplaying as? Wei Liao was also confused. He had gone to many cosplay parties with Suyu before, but he had never seen Suyu dressed like this. Chapter 1042. Everyone watched in silence as Suyu walked in step by step. He wore a luxurious black suit with a pair of black wings on his back. The edges of his wings glowed with a golden light. His long black hair flowed down like a waterfall, and his 10 fingers were covered with black nails. It was definitely a dark style. He wore a silver mask that only covered half of his face. His eyes were covered with red-colored contact lenses, creating a scarlet effect. There was a red gem embedded in his forehead, which was especially beautiful. Huamin looked at Suyu tonight. He exuded an extremely seductive beauty. Yes, that's right, he was described as seductive and beautiful. At this moment, Huamin felt that the character he was cosplaying as today was the pinnacle of villains. No one could surpass this person. Lord Su is so seductive. Jiang Shaowei exclaimed. Holy shit, his mask and wings are so beautiful. Zhu Lingling also looked at him in a daze. Does anyone know who he's cosplaying as? Gao Ran thought that although Su Yu's costume was amazing, who was he cosplaying as? He had never seen such a costume before, so he didn't know immediately. Qin Chu, on the other hand, was relatively calm. He quietly watched as Suyu walked in step by step. Huamin, let's make a bet. I think he's cosplaying as Zeus, Jiang Shaowei said with a smile. With Suyu's arrogant personality, he should be cosplaying as the Supreme Emperor. Wei Liao reminded her, slightly, Zeus is the king of the gods. He's the king of the 3rd generation in ancient Greek mythology. He's the head of the 12 gods of Olympus and the supreme god who rules the universe. I know all this, you don't have to explain it to me, Jiang Shaowei replied. I know you understand, but you have to know that Zeus is a positive character. He's a god, and today's theme is villains. I don't think Suyu is a Mary Sue. He knows that today is a villain's cosplay party, but he still pretends to be innocent, Wei Liao explained. Jiang Shaowei was immediately at a loss for words. Indeed, how could she have overlooked this point? She only thought that Suyu was cosplaying as an ancient Greek god and forgot that today was a villain's banquet. Huamin, do you know? Jiang Shaowei felt that Huamin was experienced and knowledgeable, so he might be able to tell. He is cosplaying as Lucifer, Huamin slowly. Fallen angel Lucifer. Gao Ran froze and asked with uncertainty. Okay. Huamian nodded. Who's Lucifer? How come I've never heard of this person? Zhu Lingling was also confused. Hua Xichen smiled and said, as expected of Suyu, he's amazing, cosplaying as Lucifer. That's an amazing cosplay, young Master Su, you're awesome, Mo Shui couldn't help but praise. Can someone tell me who Lucifer is? Zhu Lingling asked curiously again. Qin Chu walked out from behind the crowd and slowly said, Lucifer was a god in Roman mythology, but later, he fell and became a demon. He used to be a god, then became a demon. What did this person go through? Zhu Lingling didn't know much about European, Greek, or Roman mythology, so she didn't know anything about it. However, she knew that Su Yu's cosplay wasn't simple, and he was incredibly handsome. Just the huge wings, the silver mask, and the crimson eyes alone were enough to stun everyone present. Huamin, can you explain to everyone? Jiang Shaowei took a sip of water from the table and said. Out of everyone present, only Qin Chu, Jiang Shaowei, and Huamin knew about Lucifer's background. This was because the three of them were all researchers of ancient Roman mythology. Since the others didn't know, they naturally had to explain. Chapter 1043. Huamin nodded and then slowly said, "Legend has it that Lucifer was once God's most favored angel. He was called the Seraphim and was envied by all the angels. He often appeared in the temple and accompanied God. Many fairies liked him, but he was unmoved. Later, he fell in love with a girl during a mission, but that girl came from hell and was a demon. In order to be with her, Lucifer betrayed God and cut off his angel wings to accompany the girl to live with the demons. However, he was not accepted by Satan and was rejected by all the demons in the demon race. But for the sake of love, he did not hesitate. Later, the woman he loved betrayed him and got entangled with the demons. Lucifer was heartbroken and left the demon race, but he was chased all the way. When he finally escaped from the demon race's hell, he was surrounded by his former colleagues, the angels. The main angel had always been jealous that Lucifer was once favored by God, so he was ruthless and swore to destroy him. Thus, under the pursuit of the demons and angels, Lucifer cast a spell and burned himself alive. He was proud and arrogant, and even if he died, he would die alone. He did not need anyone to do anything. Everyone thought that he was going to be destroyed, but unexpectedly, in the raging fire, in excruciating pain, he was reborn. This time, his wings turned black and his eyes turned blood red. His magic power increased greatly, and with anger and hatred, he buried all the angels and demons that tried to kill him. From then on, he traveled between heaven and hell alone. He always waited quietly by himself, but no one knew what he was waiting for. He became the loneliest person in the world. He had no lover, no family, no friends, only one person. Later on, he was called the fallen angel. After listening to Huamin's explanation, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. It turned out that this was such a complicated character, and he even had such a sad but beautiful story. While they were talking, Siyu had already walked in. Huamin walked over and welcomed him as the host. He took the initiative to extend his hand. "Welcome, Lucifer." Siyu looked at Huamin, and the expression in his eyes gradually softened. He smiled, then reached out and shook Huamin's hand. At the moment of contact, Siyu felt as if an electric current was flowing through his entire body, but after a short handshake, he let go, very gentlemanly. Even if he wanted to hold Huamin's hand for a while longer, he would never embarrass Huamin out of selfishness. "Lord Su, you did a great job today." Wei Liao gave him a thumbs up. Siyu smiled and walked towards Wei Liao. "Mian, can we start now?" Seeing that most of the guests had arrived, Qin Chu was about to order the maids to serve the dishes. Huamin replied, "Song Yisher isn't here yet." "Song Yisher, did you invite her?" Hua Xiqian found it a little funny. "She probably won't come. If it were me, I wouldn't come either. Isn't she asking for a snub?" Zhu Lingling said. Just as they were talking, Jiang Shaowei saw another car outside the window. It was a black Rolls-Royce. It seemed like Song Yisher had made up her mind to be in the limelight today. "No need to ask, she's here." Jiang Shaowei pointed out the window and said. Just then, everyone looked over. The black Rolls-Royce stopped in front of the door, and the driver got out to open the door. Song Yisher slowly walked out of the car. Her appearance was truly shocking. Jiang Shaowei sneered, "I knew she would be like this today." Chapter 1044. That bitch really can't change her ways. She's still trying to play tricks at a time like this. Disgusting, Zhu Lingling said. Song Yisher's outfit was grand and beautiful. She wasn't cosplaying as a villain, but rather, she was dressed as a mermaid. She was wearing a dark blue dress with a transparent lace hemline. Below was a fishtail skirt that wrapped around her hips. The skirt was sewn with countless crystals that shone with golden light. She wore a blonde wig with long hair and held a golden scepter in her hand. She had exquisite makeup on her face and was dressed like a mermaid princess. She was beautiful, but she wasn't a villain. So she's not here to attend the party, but to participate in a beauty pageant. Mo Schwager sneered. Okay, the scheming bitch is here. Everyone can fight as much as you want, no need to hold back. Jiang Xiaowei rubbed her palms together as if she wanted to have a good fight with this woman. She's here to be tortured, damn it. Zhu Lingling didn't like Song Yisher's appearance and cursed. Mian, did you tell Song Yisher the theme of today's party? Hua Xiqian looked at Huamin with a smile. I did, Huamin replied calmly. Since he invited her, he wouldn't be so bad as to not tell her the theme. However, she didn't respect the host and didn't dress according to the rules. Was it really okay for her to pretend to be a mermaid princess among so many bad guys? Qin Chu didn't even bother to look at her and said, Uncle Li, get ready. Let's eat. Yes, sir. Uncle Li followed Qin Chu's instructions and went to the kitchen to prepare the dishes. Song Yisher walked in on her crystal high heels and smiled shyly. Sorry, am I the last to arrive? It's okay, it hasn't started yet. Huamin chuckled. Miss Song doesn't seem to understand. I remember Huamin saying that this is the villain's Christmas party, right? Is it really okay for you to pretend to be a mermaid? Jiang Xiaowei made the first move. Huamin did say that, but I really don't know which villain to cosplay as. After all, I've never played something like this before. Also, Huamin never said that I couldn't cosplay as a good character. Song Yisher smiled sweetly as if she was innocent. She also emphasized that Huamin did not say that she was not allowed to dress up as a mermaid. It's okay, as long as you like it. Everyone, take a seat. We can start eating now. After Huamin finished speaking, everyone took their seats. Uncle Li and the maids began to serve the dishes. Huamin was very generous. He prepared sirloin steak, foie gras, caviar, fruit salad, Boston lobster, stewed clams with papaya, abalone rice. Everyone was presented with an exquisite set meal that tasted amazing. Oh my god, did your chef make this? Jiang Xiaowei exclaimed. Yeah. His cooking is on par with the chefs at 5-star hotels. It's so authentic. Because Jiang Xiaowei was pregnant, her appetite was especially good. She could eat a lot. Wei Liao quickly handed her a tissue. Slow down a little, you don't have to eat. I'll give you mine too, don't rush. Ha, there's a lot in the kitchen. Everyone, eat as much as you want. Bring out the red wine, Qin Chu ordered. Then, Uncle Li went to bring out a box of red wine and placed a bottle next to everyone. Qin Chu never spent as much money as Su Yu, but he was definitely a super rich person. A bottle of wine cost more than 200,000, but he was so generous that he could give everyone a bottle. Zhu Lingling held the bottle and looked it over. For an alcoholic like her, she loved it so much that she couldn't put it down. At the long dining table, two people sat across from each other. Qin Chu and Huamin sat at the head of the table, facing each other. Hua Xiqian and Mo Schwager. Ni Yang and Sister Ingzi. Gao Ran and Zhu Lingling. Wei Liao and Jiang Xiaowei. In the end, only Su Yu and Song Yisher were left. The 12 of them were very neat, however, Su Yu seemed to be very impatient as he sat across from Song Yisher. He didn't even raise his head to look at her. He didn't even remember Song Yisher's name before. He didn't have a good impression of her at all. After the maids filled everyone's glasses with wine, everyone raised their glasses. Come, come, come. To thank Huamin and Qin Chu for their hospitality, let's drink first. Jiang Shaowei was the happiest. Suddenly, Huamin said, "Wait a second." Chapter 1045. What's wrong? Qin Chu looked at her with concern. Uncle Li, get me some water. Shaowei can't drink red wine. Luckily, Huamin reacted quickly. Otherwise, Jiang Shaowei would have gotten away with it. I'll only drink a little, Jiang Shaowei whined. No, you're pregnant. You have to think about the baby. Huamin was firm. Then can I drink fruit juice? Jiang Shaowei pouted. No, there's preservatives in fruit juice. You can only drink water, Huamin said fiercely. As expected, Jiang Shaowei wilted. Uncle Li quickly took away Jiang Shaowei's wine and gave her a big glass of water. Wei Liao looked at Huamin gratefully. You're the best. If it were me, my head would have exploded with a frying pan. After Wei Liao finished speaking, everyone burst into laughter. Song Yisha wasn't familiar with everyone, so she didn't seem to fit in. During dinner, everyone took out their phones to take photos and post them on Weibo and WeChat. Huamin posted a group photo, and then another photo with Qin Chu. It was very sweet. However, after posting it on Weibo, Huamin's true fans couldn't stand it. Some people were praising the vampire couple for their love. Half of them insisted on why the mermaid princess seemed so out of place in the line of people from the dark school. Everyone was bad. She was the only good person. What a bitch. Dr. Hua, why did you bring your love rival to your house? You have to be careful. Mistresses are everywhere these days. Someone was surprised. Wow, Dr. Hua and Lord Su are in the same frame. What a rare sight. Huamin didn't bother to reply. Song Yisha did not stay idle either. She also took a selfie and posted it on Weibo. But please note that she only sent it to herself. She only said, "I'm attending a cosplay convention. What do you think of my outfit?" Then, the brainless fans below exploded. Full marks, full marks, full marks. She's already unbelievably beautiful. Goddess, you are so beautiful. You are as beautiful as an angel. Song Goddess, your little mermaid is so beautiful. I want to save her as my desktop. Goddess, Goddess, you're always so beautiful and charming. I love you. I'm already so beautiful that I'm crying. Like me if you like the song Goddess. Your Highness, please accept my kneel. Goddess, please debut. Once you debut, I guarantee that all the female celebrities in the entertainment industry will become your side dishes. That's right, that's right. Mo Shui, Jian Tong, Annie Liang, they were all crushed by you. Most of them were flattering her. Some passers-by even asked, huh? Dr. Hua and Dr. Jiang posted this picture, but they are all cosplaying bad guys. Why are you the only good guy? That's so strange. Thus, the passers-by and Song Goddess fans started arguing again. What does it have to do with you guys? My goddess doesn't look like a bad guy, and she won't cosplay as a bad guy. Only those with a dark heart can cosplay as a bad guy. This sentence angered Huamin's fans, Jiang Shaowei's fans, and Su Yu's fans. The four fans started arguing. It was extremely lively, but Song Yisha didn't care. In her eyes, those fans were just a bunch of idiots. She really thought of herself as a high and mighty goddess. During the banquet, Song Yisha looked at Qin Chu lovingly and asked, "Oh right, Qin Chu, how are your injuries?" Chapter 1046. It's done, thank you, Qin Chu replied distantly. Then, he quietly picked up food for Huamin. He took care of her meticulously. Then, Siyu raised his glass in disdain and said, "Come, mermaid princess, let me toast you." "I'm sorry, I can't drink too much. I'm allergic to alcohol." Song Yishe smiled as she rejected Su Yu's toast. Hua Xiqian stood up from his seat and walked over, regardless of whether Song Yishe was willing or not. He put his arm around her shoulder and took a selfie from behind her. Then, he posted it on Weibo. The entire process took less than 10 seconds. Song Yishe didn't even have time to resist. "President Hua, he's really interesting." "Ha, he came out of nowhere and scared me." Song Yishe smiled awkwardly. Mo Shuer looked at her and sneered, "President Hua has always been like this. You'll have to get used to it." At this moment, Hua Xiqian also posted on Weibo, "I bumped into the song goddess at a party. She's really beautiful. Out of all the villains, she's such a gentle and cute character. What a weirdo." Then, a smart fan immediately asked, "President Hua, are you a high-level hater?" Hua Xiqian smiled and didn't respond. Then, Jiang Shaowei suggested, "Let's play a game." "Sure, how do we play?" Zhu Lingling was a very curious person. As expected, she was very cooperative with Jiang Shaowei. There's a popular phrase on a certain forum. It goes like this: "I still like you a lot, just like XXXXX. You can fill in whatever you want. Then, we'll choose someone who's really good and they'll perform. What do you think?" "Sure." Gao Ran nodded. He thought it would be fun. Everyone else also nodded in agreement. "Shaowei, since you suggested it, you should go first." Hua Min chuckled. "Alright, then I'll start first." Everyone. After that, Jiang Shaowei cleared her throat and looked at Wei Liao seriously. "I still like you very much. You're like the sun, the moon, and the stars, forever." Wei Liao looked at Jiang Shaowei with a gentle gaze, and the two of them instantly began to torture PDA. "Wei Liao, you name one. The two of you will be facing each other," Siyu suggested. Wei Liao also looked at Jiang Shaowei and replied almost without hesitation, "I still like you very much. You're like blood spilling onto the earth. I'm cold, and you're beautiful." After saying this, Dr. Jiang, who had always been strong, actually blushed. Everyone joined in the commotion. Io, so sweet." "Gao Ran, you do it." Hua Min nodded. Gao Ran was slightly nervous. Then, he looked at Zhu Lingling across from him shyly. "I still like you very much. You're like a noisy secret, thousands of words." Everyone immediately clapped. They didn't think that as a police officer, he would be so eloquent and eloquent. "Lingling, it's your turn." Hua Min was looking forward to what Lingling, who had always been carefree, was going to say. Zhu Lingling thought hard for 10 seconds. Finally, she had an idea. She pointed at Gao Ran and said, "I still like you very much. You're like a shrew, unreasonable." After she said this, everyone burst into laughter. "Zhu Lingling, you did it on purpose, didn't you?" Gao Ran sweated profusely. Who would confess like this? He was so poetic just now, but her words instantly lowered his level. Okay, I'm done. Aren't you guys forcing me to say something beyond my ability? Everyone knows that I'm not very eloquent and can't even compare to you straight-A students. So, it's already good that I can say it. Hua Min, hurry up, you and Mr. Qin do one. Hua Min, one, Hua Min, one. Everyone clapped and cheered. Hua Min smiled and looked at Qin Chu. Chapter 1047. Hua Min thought for a moment and blurted out, "I still like you a lot." The willows move and the cicadas cry, the sun sets and the tide, I can't control myself. Good. Gao Ran led the way and applauded Huamin. My little sister is so artistic, even her words are so beautiful, Huasiqian commented as he held a glass of red wine in his hand. Before anyone could call his name, Qin Chu looked at Huamin lovingly and replied, I still like you a lot. You're like the stars that travel through the night for billions of years, without a single complaint. Holy shit, that's awesome, so magnificent. Gao Ran and Wei Liao both gave Qin Chu a thumbs up. Ni Yang, you do one. Huamin smiled at Ni Yang. I still like you a lot. You're like the rain falling from the clouds, drizzling bit by bit, Ni Yang said. Sister Ingzi immediately said, a young lady, I won't join in the fun. I really don't know how to. Then Shui will do it. Huamin tilted his head and looked at Imo Shui. She elegantly put down her chopsticks and looked at Huasiqian affectionately. I still like you a lot. You're like the petals that fall all over the ground, leaving no gaps. I still like you a lot. You're like the yellowed bridge in the old story, half deaf and half mute, Huasiqian immediately replied before anyone could call his name. Just then, Wei Liao looked at Su Yu. Lord Su, it's your turn. He lowered his head and didn't look at Song Yisher, who was sitting across from him. He slowly said, I still like you a lot. You're like the storm that passes through the sky. Not bad, everyone praised. Finally, Song Yisher was left. She tilted her head and looked at Qin Chu, who was not far away. Then, she said gently, I still like you very much. You're like the wind, traveling 8,000 miles without asking when you'll return. There was nothing wrong with what she had just said. But the problem was that no one liked her. She was the public enemy. When Jiang Xiaowei heard what she said, she immediately smiled. What are you laughing at? Song Yisher looked at Jiang Xiaowei with some displeasure. From the perspective of physics, if the wind travels 8,000 miles per hour, it will take at most 2 months. So, why don't you just change it to, I still like you very much, at most 2 months? After Jiang Xiaowei finished speaking, everyone laughed in low voices. Song Yisher's expression immediately changed. She didn't expect that Jiang Xiaowei wouldn't give her any face. She openly refuted her and rejected her. She was not someone to be trifled with, so she asked directly, Dr. Jiang, is there some misunderstanding between us? Misunderstanding? What misunderstanding? Do I know you that well? Jiang Xiaowei asked nonchalantly. Song Yisher was immediately speechless. Ahem. Slightly, you should eat more. Wei Liao felt that it was quite awkward for his wife to argue with someone else. Okay, everyone, let's vote. Who said the best? Let's vote, the one with the most votes wins, Zhu Lingling suggested. I vote for Qin Chu, Gao Ran said. I vote for Huamin, Zhu Lingling said. In the end, everyone gave their opinions. After checking the votes, Huamin and Qin Chu had the highest votes. Huamin had one more vote than Qin Chu. This was because Huasiqian and Su Yu both voted for Huamin, so... Ms. Huamin, please perform for us. After Jiang Xiaowei finished speaking, everyone immediately applauded. Hey, I really don't know how to do anything, ha. Honey, do you want to sing for them? Qin Chu asked with a smile. I don't want to sing. I don't want to scare them. Huamin knew that she wasn't good at music and was often out of tune. Therefore, she was very self-aware. There are 2 grand pianos in the living room. Sister Huamin, why don't you play for us? Ni Yang was very interested in the instruments and immediately suggested. Piano. I haven't played in a long time. Huamin smiled embarrassedly. It's okay, even if you play two tigers, we won't mind. Gao Ran looked at Huamin and said with a smile. Huamin, why don't you play Reminiscences of Don Juan for us? I want to hear it. Song Yisher smiled. Reminiscences of Don Juan. It's one of the 10 most difficult piano pieces in the world. Miss Song, does your mother know that you're making things difficult for others? Jiang Xiaowei coldly glanced at Song Yisher's face. But Huamin is a genius, she should know how to play it, right? Song Yisher was still smiling like a blooming flower, but her expression was infuriating. Chapter 1048. Without waiting for anyone else to speak, Song Yisher smiled and said, But Huamin, if you don't know how to play, no one will blame you. After all, you're not a professional musician, and you've never studied abroad. It's normal that you haven't heard of Master Franz Liszt. Song Yisher felt that Huamin might not even know who Franz Liszt was, let alone play his classic Memories of Don Juan. Everyone present could tell that Song Yisher looked down on Huamin's education and erudition. Qin Chu frowned slightly. She stood up and was about to ask the guest to leave, however, Huamin pressed her shoulder to stop her husband from getting angry. Qin Chu saw that Huamin was very calm and knew that she knew what was going on. However, Qin Chu had never seen Huamin play the piano in all these years because she had very little contact with it. She was poor in the past, so she had never bought a piano. Later, when she grew up and studied medicine, she did not have the opportunity to learn. She might be able to play a normal song, but Memories of Don Juan was a song that was not difficult at all. Even a piano teacher would not be able to perform it smoothly, let alone a non-professional like Huamin. She laughed when that bitch Song Yisher said that she did not know Franz Liszt. Huamin stood up, calmly looked around the room, and slowly said, Franz Liszt, full name Franz Liszt, born on October 22, 1811, is a famous Hungarian composer, a great romantic master, and a piano genius. Memories of Don Juan, which was adapted from Mozart, is the most famous. Because of the long span of notes and the tight rhythm, very few people are willing to perform it. So far, only the top pianist in the country has played it once. Miss Song, you're my guest today, and as the host, I will definitely fulfill your wish, but I have a request. What request? Song Yisher looked at Huamin in confusion. I want you to play with me. Do you dare? Huamin smiled provocatively. There were 2 tripod pianos in the living room, one black and one white. Huamin suggested that the 2 of them play together. Undoubtedly, they wanted to compete. Everyone looked at Song Yisher, wondering if she would dare to accept the challenge. Okay. Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Song Yisher had been learning the piano since she was a child, and she had never given up all these years. He had played Don Juan's Memories a few times, so he was full of confidence. I have a feeling that Huamin is going to torture bitch Song, Jiang Xiaowei said with a smile. Zhu Lingling also cheered for Huamin. Huamin, don't embarrass yourself. Although she didn't understand any piano music, she believed that Huamin wasn't called a genius for nothing, right? Song Yisher got up and sat down beside the white piano in her dazzling fishtail dress. Huamin came to the black piano in his black vampire costume. We'll start in 5 seconds. Do you have a problem with that? Huamin looked at Song Yisher. I have no problem with that. Anytime. Song Yisher's face was full of pride. Jiang Xiaowei had a selfish idea. She took out her phone and started recording. Huamin and Song Yisher silently chanted for 5 seconds, then, his fingers flew across the piano keys. The speed of his fingers was simply dazzling. And it was getting faster and faster. Song Yisher had just played a bar when she realized that not only did Huamin know how to play Franz Liszt's famous song, but he also seemed to be familiar with it. While she was distracted, her speed slowed down, and Huamin overtook her. The rhythm was slightly disrupted. Song Yisher panicked and immediately chased after him. But no matter how hard she chased, she couldn't catch up. Huamin finished playing in one breath. She was still stuck at the end of the third bar. Huamin didn't wait for her to get up. He stood up and bowed. "Thank you, everyone. I've embarrassed myself. I've known her for so long, but I didn't know that she was a piano expert." "Qin Chu, did you know?" Gao Ran looked at Qin Chu and asked curiously. Chapter 1049. It's my first time hearing it too. Qin Chu looked at Huamin gently. She was as serious as a little girl, competing with Song Yisher in a huff. After she won, she smiled proudly, as if she had returned to the competitive Huamin of her youth. "I don't understand, but I know that our Mian won." "Yay!" Zhu Lingling made a peace sign. "Isn't it a bit immoral for so many of us to bully one person?" Wei Liao thought that it was a bad idea to bully Song Yisher with a group of people. "She's a bitch, so she'll be punished, okay? If she didn't cause trouble, would Mian bully her?" Jiang Shaowei sneered. Siyu was shocked. Ever since he was young, he had received all kinds of musical training, including piano, violin, and saxophone. During GK's 30-year anniversary, Siyu performed a piano piece, playing and singing at the same time, and instantly gained countless fans. However, he didn't think that the old-fashioned and low-key Huamin would be so talented in music. She sang off-key, but the piano was so smooth. Did Huamin learn to play? Gao Ran was starting to doubt his life. She didn't. If I remember correctly, when she was in high school, the teacher taught her a few times in music class. She probably figured it out on her own. Zhu Lingling replied. Memories of Don Juan. You can't figure out such a difficult piano piece on your own, right? Gao Ran obviously didn't believe her. After I went to college, there was a performance at school. I studied it for a few days and wanted to perform at the New Year's Eve party. The party was suddenly cancelled, so I didn't perform. However, I remembered the melody. Huamin smiled. How long ago was that? Gao Ran was dumbfounded. Not long ago, when I was a sophomore. It was winter. In his second year, Huamin was only 19 years old. Now, he was 24 years old. 5 whole years had passed. Huamin could still vividly remember the piano lessons he had learned in the past few days. He had to admit that they were very, very powerful. After playing the Song Yisher stood up and retorted, "That's impossible. This song can't be memorized without at least 5 years of practice." "Oh, is that so? I'm sorry, but I only practiced for less than 5 days, Huamin said confidently. She was not bragging. She had only been learning for less than 5 days. Suyu was a little shocked. As a music expert, he knew the difficulty of this piano piece. He also knew that even if he practiced for 5 years, he might not be able to play Huamin so quickly and smoothly. Perhaps this was the so-called talent. Is Miss Song a sore loser? Zhu Lingling sneered. Song Yisher's expression immediately turned ugly. To be fair, let's find someone who knows music to judge. Miss Mo, you've been a singer for many years, so you can be considered an expert. Why don't you be more objective? We don't want people to say that we're biased, Jiang Shaowei suggested. Mo Shuer turned around and looked at Huamin, then looked at Song Yisher. Then he smiled and said, "To be honest, I can't play this piano piece by Master Franz Liszt, but I can listen to it. Miss Song does play well, and I can tell that she's a professional at first glance. She's learned it before, so the details are handled very well. As for Hwamian, she plays very quickly and the rhythm is correct, but the details are rough. However, Hwamian isn't a professional, nor has she learned it before. For her, who has only learned it for 5 days, to play it like this, I think it's very scary. At least, I've never met such an abnormal genius. After speaking, Mo Shui sat back down. Song Yisha returned to her seat unhappily. Then, she looked at Chin Chu and asked, Chin Chu, you've been learning piano since you were 3 years old, so you should know more than anyone else here. Why don't you say something? Chapter 1050. Mian is very talented. Chin Chu was a man of few words and only said those 6 words. However, Song Yisha was slapped in the face. It was obvious that people only saw Hwamian's performance. To be honest, Song Yisha's playing wasn't bad either. However, when it came to Hwamian, she was indeed crushed. Hwamian only learned for 5 days, while she had learned for 20 years. The difference wasn't small. My Hwamian is the legendary person who specializes in crushing her opponents, right? She's too scary. Ni Yang laughed. I was just playing casually, don't take it seriously. Come, let's continue eating. Hwamian, on the other hand, was satisfied. After crushing Song Yisha, she was in a good mood. She wasn't the one who started it, but Song Yisha insisted on mentioning Franz Liszt's piano piece. Otherwise, she really only wanted to play a simple Christmas song for everyone. How nice would that be? Why did she have to be so pretentious? Honey, are you tired? Chin Chu grabbed Hwamian's hand and placed it in his palm. Then, he carefully rubbed it. Hwamian picked up the glass of red wine with her other hand and took a big gulp. She was indeed quite tired after playing it in one go. Jiang Xiaowei lowered her head and posted the video on her Weibo. The caption said, "Our 2 pianists are competing, please comment." Then, not only did this video go viral on Weibo, within an hour, it went viral on all the major media outlets. Many piano experts jumped out to comment. Only Song Yisha's brainless fan continued to say blindly, "My goddess is still the winner. Goddess, you're the best. You're beautiful and everything you do is reasonable. Hwamian is no match for you." Then, some passers-by couldn't stand it anymore and directly replied to Song Yisha's brainless fan, "When did you become blind?" One of the most famous comments was this, "The girl in black's piano technique is not correct, and her sitting posture is not very right. She is obviously a layman, but a layman can quickly play the most difficult piano piece of Master Liszt. This person is amazing. If she wants to learn well, her attainments will be very high." Many famous musicians didn't know who Hwamian and Song Yisha were, so they described them as white clothes and black clothes. Most people did not comment on Song Yisha and directly ignored her. Because Hwamian's performance was too shocking, there were even a few piano masters who directly asked for Hwamian's contact on Weibo, wanting to take him in as a disciple. Then, a fan who understood the truth said, "Accept a disciple? You may be willing, but are they willing? She's the chief physician of Southside's neurology department and a young lady of GK. Why would she be so bored as to learn piano? Wake up, it's okay to dream for a while. If you keep dreaming, then it's wrong." Jiang Xiaowei also did not think that this short video would cause such a huge chain reaction. After Song Yisha saw Weibo, she exploded in anger. She directly asked Jiang Xiaowei, "Who told you to selfishly post this on Weibo? Did you ask me? Friends are gathering to learn from each other, it's not something shameful. Why can't I post it? Why should I ask you? I didn't mean to slander you." Those words were said by the netizens, not me. What's the point of asking me? Jiang Xiaowei directly pushed all the blame onto her. Song Yishe was so angry that her face turned pale. She suddenly felt that she shouldn't have come to this party today. Not only did she not receive Qin Chu's special treatment, but she also did not receive any special treatment from him. She was also ruined by everyone. Huamin, is this how you treat your guests? Song Yishe couldn't out-talk Jiang Xiaowei, so she directly targeted Huamin. Huamin picked up a piece of steak and was just about to eat. However, when he heard what Song Yishe said, he put it down. Then, he replied with an extremely innocent look, "How am I treating my guests? Did I make you thirsty or hungry? Did you not eat the steak? Did you not drink the red wine? Did I not greet you when you came in?" Chapter 1051. Song Yishe used to think that other than being smart, Huamin was easy to deal with because Huamin rarely bullied her. She really thought that Huamin was a pushover, so she kept showing off. But in reality, Huamin wasn't weak. Jiang Xiaowei's analysis was right. Huamin just didn't want to talk to her. Huamin's life motto had always been, if a dog bites you, you can't bite back. So, he rarely fought with others. So, she didn't say anything harsh to Song Yishe before, but Song Yishe became more and more arrogant. Now, Huamin's words made Song Yishe speechless, making her lose face. Huamin was right. If you want to come to my party, fine, I'll let you come. But you broke the rules and dressed up as a mermaid to steal the limelight. That's fine too. You said you wanted to play the piano, so I played with you. Now that you're being attacked, you're trying to slander me. That's your fucking fault. I'm feeding you, drinking you, and playing with you. In the end, you're saying that I don't treat my guests well enough. What are you trying to do? Miss Song is the mayor's daughter. She's from a wealthy family. Maybe she's not suitable to play with us. People who walk different paths can't make plans together. If that's the case, Miss Song, why don't you leave? You don't want to disturb our mood. Zhu Lingling said this. She had been unhappy with Bitch Song for a long time, so she and Jiang Xiaowei had been attacking her. Now that she had an excuse, she started to chase her away. Song Yishe's appearance was the biggest blemish of today's party. If she wasn't here, everyone would be in a better mood. Originally, they thought that after Zhu Lingling said this, Song Yishe would be shy and leave. However, the most shocking thing was that she didn't move at all. After 5 seconds of silence, she sneered and glanced at Zhu Lingling's face. Are you the owner of this place? What right do you have to kick him out? I did it for Huamin, so what? Zhu Lingling tilted her head and retorted. Why should Huamin replace you? Can't she say it herself? If it's Huamin who wants me to leave today, then fine, I'll leave. If it's not Qin Chu and Huamin, then everyone else, please shut up. Song Yishe was really going all out. She actually said something that disregarded her status. Of course, Qin Chu wanted to kick her out, but Huamin didn't want to fall out with her. If Song Yishe was kicked out today, then once she left South Hill Manor, who knew how she would slander them and complain about her grievances? So Huamin smiled and said, forget it. Since you're all here, let's have fun. I, Huamin, haven't mistreated anyone. I hope that everyone can respect each other and stop causing trouble. Huamin's words stopped everyone from arguing with Song Yishe. It was meaningless. At this time, everyone was almost done eating. There was only red wine left in their glasses. Gao Ran suggested, why don't we play Truth or Dare? Hey, that sounds good. Let's play, let's play. Zhu Lingling loved to kick up a fuss, especially when it came to Gao Ran's suggestion. Then, everyone nodded in agreement. They all expressed their support for Gao Ran's idea. How do we play? Master, please tell us the rules. Jiang Xiaowei looked at Huamin. Honey, go ahead. Perhaps it was because Huamin had a lot to drink, but she leaned her head on Qin Chu's shoulder and looked at him sweetly. Qin Chu didn't let his wife down. He thought for a moment and said, let's play rock, paper, scissors. One person can choose an opponent. Rock, paper, scissors will determine the winner. The loser can choose truth or dare. That's good, that's good. I'll go first. Jiang Xiaowei was eager to try. Sure, Xiaowei can go first. Who do you want to challenge? Huamin asked with a smile. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.